we have met Leonardo, an agent that works for a mysterious organization known only as the Architects. They help spread the policy of Malchus, the god of chaos, by assassinating select targets to destabilize a world that has become too stagnant in its opulent comforts. Leonardo has been met by his watcher, a woman known as Ripley, who gives him his first assignment. The mark is Sarah Wilkins, his predecessor, sentenced to death after she committed the crime of botching a job. So Leonardo sets off with his faithful feline companion, Sophie, to get the lay of the land and scout out his mark. He poses as a travelling bard and visits the local drinking hole to gather information and perhaps enlist the local talent. It is not long before he finds two unsavory types who are already deep in their cups, despite it not even being lunchtime. He gets them to approach his mark so he can assess her by her reaction. Sadly, the goons are dealt with quickly and brutally. So Leonardo decides to launch a complex scheme to set up a frame job to pin a murder he committed on his mark, hoping the trouble with the local law will give him a window to take her out. He also uses his guise as a bard to approach her and win her trust, which works with some success. When the plan is finally set into motion, it all goes off without a hitch, except the final part. Sarah gets cornered by two watchmen and decides to go down fighting. While he succeeded in his task, he failed to retrieve an enchanted blade Sarah wielded. How will Leonardo fare in his next task? Is there more to Sophie than meets the eye? Will chaos reign? Let's find out now on Assassin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Assassin. I am your DM, and Rob is our player. Rob, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I had so first shout out to my daughter for her birthday yesterday, and
Happy birthday, Rob's daughter.
And I just had this last week one of the biggest gifts from her that dad can have. She let me know that she had been watching or she'd been listening to a murdering podcast right before bed, and she was afraid, is this going to give me nightmares about somebody murdering me? And sure enough, it did. And she told me that while she was being chased out of her house by the murderer in her dream, I stepped in, hurled an axe, Viking style, her word, and turned the murderer into a murderee.
Oh.
And, you know, my daughter is just objectively more badass than me in every way. She knows two martial arts. She, you know, I like stop and rest on the way upstairs. And, you know, she's in better shape. She makes more money than me. When she moved away and I said, you know, hey, can you give me the phone number of one of your friends or something, so in case I can't reach you, I can, you know, still know what's going on. And she was like, Dad, don't be ridiculous. What would ever happen? I said, ninjas. You can be captured by ninjas. I would never know. And she said, my daughter said to me, Dad, don't be ridiculous. If I was captured by ninjas, you would know because I would tell you after I defeated the Ninja Master in single combat and escaped. And you know, some dads wait their entire lives to hear those words from their daughter and never hear them. And I was just so proud to hear my daughter telling me about defeating the Ninja Masters, you know?
That's very touching. And
to know that regardless of what a pathetic creature I am, as I look at, it's just the other day, I'm there at IHOP and seeing the senior section and realizing I'm actually coming up on that, It's only a matter of years, and then I'll be able to order stuff off the senior section. But in my daughter's mind, I am still capable of hurling an axe to protect her and defeat people that are after her. So
that's touching. That's surprisingly sweet, Rob.
Yeah.
Oh.
At least in my daughter's mind, I'm still her dad, I guess.
Oh. Well, are you ready to turn some more murderers into murderees?
Yeah, so let's get down to business.
Yeah.
Neil.
I am not sure I like this tone of yours.
Oh, you're not sure that you don't like my tone.
Mm-hmm.
When were you going to tell me, Neil?
Accusatory.
When were you going to tell me, Neil?
Tell you about what?
Yeah, that's my point. I had to learn about it
Uh-oh.
from the description of the YouTube video.
Uh-oh.
Assassin has a rotating cast, Neil.
It doesn't.
When were you going to tell me, Neil? It doesn't. It's right there. It's right there in the YouTube description. When have the words below a YouTube video ever been anything but 100% accurate and trustworthy? A rotating cast, Neil.
I think.
And you didn't even get it?
I think that maybe.
I don't want to hear your excuses, Neil. Because here's the thing. Maybe you blindsided me. But I'm a professional. And I can deal with this. I'm a professional.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a rotating cast. You know, I mean, I'm not crazy about that, but
So welcome to Assassin, everybody. We're gonna be. Oh God, I think it's time to rotate the cast already. It's I guess.
I told you I have a weak stomach, Neil.
I guess.
I told you I get dizzy really easily. I told you I have a weak stomach. God, it's like Neil. I had a chocolate donut for breakfast. I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the most putrid peanut butter cup in my mouth of two great tastes coming together with puke.
That's
and it's like the flavor is melded to the roof of my mouth. I feel like I need some sandpaper or like eat some Captain Crunch or something to abrade away the skin at the roof.
That's enough. That's enough. There are people who have just eaten dinner out there. Please.
But I'm a professional.
Of course.
I'm just kidding, Neil. I mean, obviously, I know what a rotating cast means, and you know, I was really impressed by your work last week. But you know, and I'm really sorry to see you go. But I'm anxious to see
who the new DM is.
Who's it gonna? Yeah, is it Vin Diesel? Felicia Day?
Is
it gonna be Will Wheaton?
It's Stephen Lumpkin. He's gonna be our new DM after I die of embarrassment. And
you're kidding. It's Will, isn't it?
It's Will.
No offense, Neil. We've played together a long time. You're a great friend, but I would trade a dozen of you for one Will Wheaton in a heartbeat. Shut up, Neil. See, it just does not have the same power.
Ow.
Well, who wouldn't, Neil?
Okay. All right.
So you're telling me you wouldn't trade me for a Will?
I wouldn't trade 100 of you. Or I wouldn't trade you for 100 Will Wheatons. That's also because I didn't really watch Star Trek: The Next Generation, so I never really got his fan base thing. I've just seen him at Cameo and a bunch of other stuff, so I don't really have any attachment to the guy. But yeah, I'd rather play with you than him.
Oh, Neil, that's just remarkably short-sighted and bad for your rating.
Well, I'm at a loss for words here. Let's get this show on the road if it can get back on the road. We've already had a recap of our last assassination provided by Layla and Chris. Thank you guys. Your recaps are always great. And we've got a new mission for you this week, Rob. So we're going to start you off in that same tea shop that we started off in last week. It's a little bit more crowded today, and, excuse me, it's just outside of town, just outside of Confluence. I don't know how we're going to get back into a real show after that.
I'll role play. I'll get us.
You'll get us there? God, someone's going to have to get us there.
Does anybody in chat know how you drink out of a stein?
I don't know.
I mean, the carriage capacity of this thing is amazing, but
Kind of looks like it would get in your face, doesn't it? Kind of looks like a...
This may have been really ill-advised.
It kind of looks like an urn with a lid, and you're drinking the ashes of your enemies.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, do we have any German people that can explain this to me? We Mexicans just used to drink the blood straight out of our victims' hearts. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. If you have any ideas how to drink out of a stein, tweet at me, Koibu0, on Twitter, and we'll get that information to Rob so he can better drink the blood of his enemies indirectly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you're back in that same tea shop before. And let's see. You are sitting there waiting because you know that Ripley will be coming by at some point to give you your next mission. And sure enough, after a day of waiting or so, Ripley comes up dressed as a bard, very similar to you, and sits down at a spot at the little tea bar next to you and says, "Good morning, bard. You seem troubled. Is everything okay?"
Oh, everything's fine. Just waiting for the muse to deliver her next gift to me.
Did you hear the story of the woman who was murdered in Confluence last week? Apparently, she had made quite a mess of things before she died. I heard she tried to murder a member of the High Castle Dock Guard the same night a smuggler was caught. And now that very same smuggler is sitting in a jail cell down on the docks, awaiting interrogation by a paladin of the great god Astaire.
I suppose it would be too much to imagine that the loyalty of this smuggler is such that he would resist the efforts of this paladin.
Oh, I'm just a traveling bard. I wouldn't know anything about that, other than the paladin is known for their use of their divine divinations to probe the minds of people and extract information unwillingly. But it's a real shame the paladin has been delayed in her arrival here. I believe she's rooting out a group of Malchus cultists somewhere in the east, so I can't really blame her for being delayed.
Yes, the paladin's work is never done.
She turns from facing the same direction as you to leaning backwards against the bar. So she's looking one way and you're looking the other way, and you both have views on everything around you. And says to you, "Why don't you play us a song there, bard? Trying to cover the sound of your voices so that you can have a more direct conversation."
All right. I'll play the Ballad of the 12-Fingered Seamstress.
Oh. Okay. So you start plucking away on your lute while she lowers her voice and kind of keeps an eye out on the back of the shop while you keep an eye on the front of the shop, and says, "If the smuggler Durbin is still alive, She will divine his secrets. Our secrets. If he escapes or is murdered, the Paladin will have reason to investigate, and we cannot let that come to pass. He must die, but it must be in a way that does not rouse suspicion. A suicide would be nice, but it doesn't really matter as long as nobody suspects anything.
He's being held in a dungeon. They're known for being damp and dank and most likely full of diseases in their unfilthy depths.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be possible for something he ate to disagree with him?
She nods slowly and says it would be, except that until the issues on the docks are cleaned up, we won't have access to any of our more nefarious poisons. There's a lot of work to do to clean up after Wilkins's mess. The Paladin should be here in as little as 2 weeks, so you've got some amount of time. The smuggler's name is Durbin, and he knows he's a dead man. Whether they divine his secrets, or whether we get to him first, he knows, or should know, his life is limited. I doubt he'll put up much of a fight. Push comes to shove. He's being held on the dungeon docks. As far as we know, there's only one way in and out of the dungeons, and that's the front gate, and they keep it locked at all times. There are 4 other lock types found in the dungeon, in addition to the gate. One for the drunk tanks, one for the regular cells, one for the stockades, and one for the more personalized cages. Each of the 3 dock authorities has a complete keyring. Portia Moore, the Harbormaster, Grace, the captain of the dock guard, and Reginald Silver, a cleric of Astaire who has come down to clean up the docks after a recent failed attempt on the life of a dock guard. This Reginald Silver is giving us some trouble and is preventing us from exchanging supplies. We'll deal with him later. We must deal with this Durbin first. She takes a sip of her tea. Additionally, there should be a gate key in the Harbormaster's offices, just outside the dungeon, so the night shift doesn't have to bother the officers when they open the gates for the drunks. There must be a key to the drunk tank inside somewhere as well, if they're not bothering the officers at night. Perhaps there are other keys in the dungeons? We don't really know. She chances a glance at you to see if you're with her on all this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm listening. I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm. There's a tavern built into the cliff face on the stairway down to the docks. It's called the Blind Cat. She kind of makes a quick gesture to her bardic outfit. I'll be playing there all week if you need any resources. I'd appreciate a briefing on your plan before you execute it, so we don't have any more mistakes. Gives you a meaningful look.
Were there mistakes last time?
Wilkins made mistakes.
I am not Wilkins.
Well, we can't afford 2 botched murders on the docks. So let's play this one careful. Real careful. It's at this moment that she, drops a bag slightly at her feet and kind of nudges it towards your chair and says, "These should help you along your way as well. You can take a look at them after I've gone."
I move my feet so they conceal the bag. And kind of move, kind of slowly move the bag beneath the table.
Yeah. It slides easily. Someone comes over and refills your cup of tea and her cup of tea and comments on your music. But let's get a performance check for how well you're playing, because it's definitely covering the sound of your conversation. But how, after last week's terrible musical performances, I wonder if your
They were
hands are
mostly
calm.
just average. Not that they were
Yeah.
terrible so much.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's a much nicer melody today. It's coming off better. It suits the mood, and there are, the lute is actually in tune this time instead of just slightly flat. Yeah, it's nice. Quite nice.
Who doesn't love the Ballad of the Six-Fingered Seamstress?
I thought it was a 12-fingered seamstress.
Yeah, six any chance.
Oh, okay.
Keep up, Neil.
So, do you have anything else you'd like to ask her? Although she'll be around if you need to talk to her at a given point.
I have questions, but I'm probably just going to go find that information out myself. So
Perfect. So let's do a quick little recap on your status information. I've brought up our little info page here. You're level 2 now, so you've got 11 HP, and you gained the Cunning Action class feature. In the bag, you will find 4,000 copper worth of assorted coins, gold, silver, and copper. And you'll also find a pair of gloves of swimming and climbing. Excuse me. Which are yours to keep. And hopefully will help you with many, many murders to come. Your target is Durbin. He is a 0th level NPC with unknown capabilities, who's locked in a cell and can't really escape, so it should be pretty easy if you can get to him. He's guarded, of course, and no one can know it's being murdered, so we will classify this as a guarded secret mission. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I've got new swimming gloves. The old gloves I use whenever I go swimming, are what's the word? Ridiculous, because who wears gloves to go fucking swimming?
They've got webs between the fingers, right? So you can swim better, and then the webs between the fingers help when you're climbing, because then you can grip the rocks with the webs, and then I don't know.
I guess they're better than the hiking boots of swimming.
the extra large backpack of swimming, the cloak of swimming, all these things that just get in your way. Yeah.
The 60-pound barbell of swimming.
Yeah. Yeah, so you have this information. If you need any of it recapped for you, I am happy to give it to you.
I think I've got it.
All right. So let's head on down to the docks. You should already be on the dock page, I believe. Yes. And here it is. It's a rather large waterfront at the base of the city known as High Castle. This waterfront is kind of down in the canals of Arcadia, which are, a few hundred feet from the surface. Because once upon a time, Arcadia was one nice flat island, and then about 1,500 years ago, the gods sort of ripped it apart. And High Castle is maybe, 60, 80 miles from the front ocean. So it's about 200 feet of elevation from sea level when it got ripped open and is now just sitting on a sheer 200-foot cliff that just drops down into this really, really deep water canal. And this is the waterfront that they built at the bottom of that cliff to help facilitate transportation. So the top of this map is just a sheer cliff that goes for hundreds and hundreds of feet. The dungeons are built into this sheer cliff, and this would be, over here, would be the stairwell into the city. The waters here are pretty deep. The docks are sort of sitting on like floating pontoons to keep them up. And I don't think anyone really knows how deep the water is here. But one step off these docks should probably, for someone who can't swim, is certain death unless someone will rescue them.
I'm guessing that whoever drove in the piers that are holding up the end of each dock knows.
Mm-hmm.
Since as we can
Perhaps.
see, they're each the docks are held up by posts.
Yeah, I think these posts rest on like little floating buoy pylon-y thingies, so the docks will actually rise and fall with the tides a little bit. Yeah. Your character knows how to swim, but not every NPC will know how to swim, just as a side note.
Well, Wilkins made a mistake in making assumptions there. I'm not going to count on anyone not being able to swim.
Yeah.
Unless I've assessed them.
So let's get it going. What would you like to do? Where would you like to go? What would you like to see?
First stop. What kind of shops are down here? I'm going to take a walk around the docks, and I'm trying to get a view of what shops there are to be found.
Sure. So, let's see. First things first, as you're walking along the docks, you spot there is a guard just standing by the dungeon entrance. The dungeon entrance is pretty much just a 10 by 10 path that leads into the side, and then there's a gate 20 or 30 feet inset and a guard standing just in the shade, as well as two guards that are patrolling the length of the docks. I've represented them kind of to the left of the staircase right here, but they're just kind of patrolling back and forth as they do. So they'll kind of be walking over everything at any given point. There are really only a few buildings, a few actual shops down here. Most things are warehouses, but there are two taverns. There's one right between the stairs and the dungeons. I've got a little tavern icon on it. And there is a separate tavern a little bit to the right of the dungeons, which also has a little tavern icon on it.
Which one is the Blind Cat?
The Blind Cat is neither of these. The Blind Cat is actually on the staircase near the top of the stairs.
All right.
Yeah.
What I'm looking for, although I guess I can just steal them if need be, I would like to buy some candles.
Yes, you may buy candles.
Right.
I think they are like $1 a pound or something like that.
All right. Yeah, I was just wondering if there was a shop down here where I could do that.
No, there are lots of warehouses down here, but there's very few like direct sale merchants. You could probably find a warehouse where they've got a bunch of candles and buy them in bulk, but there's very little actual selling of things. All that's done up in the city. This is just like the, where people come to do mass trading.
All right. Are there any smiths?
Not on the docks, no.
Not to do work on the ships or anything?
There's not like a smith's shop, but there might be smiths down here that are fixing something, this thing or that thing. But there's precious little real estate on the docks. So there's no smithy set up down here.
All right. So I'm going to go visit each of these two inns. I'll spend an hour in each one trying to get the feel of it, just drinking, not playing or introducing myself, really.
Sure. The one on the left looks like a... let's take a closer look at it. Let's go find this. So the one next to the staircase is right here. It's got a few rooms down on the bottom, and this is sort of like the shipping headquarters for a large shipping company, but their bottom floor is kind of a public tavern. They have an upstairs area which is off. Well, I guess I shouldn't say it's off limits, but it's not part of the tavern or bar. You could probably wander up the stairs and someone would direct you back down. But for now, I don't think you know what the top looks like until you wander up there. So this would be the bottom of that tavern. You've got 3 rooms, bunch of tables, and some warehousey, holdy stuff.
All right.
And the other tavern is over here. This would be the dock workers tavern. The other one is sort of, sailors and captains and people who come and go. This other one is the people who live and work on the docks full time sort of tavern. It's a little bit more rowdy and a little bit lower class, lower establishment. And it's all one big room, and it's just a raucous mess. And there's a couple of beds in here as well for people that need a crash.
All right. What's the name of this place?
This place is the Seaside Shanty.
Okay, so I think the Seaside Shanty is where I want to establish base. I am going to go up to the barkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have Sophie perched up here on my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Or give Sophie a little scratch behind her ear. Innkeeper.
Good afternoon.
I'm looking for a room.
Right, you have. I believe we have a... do you need a private room or a shared room? And do you need it upstairs, or do you not mind the commotion and want it downstairs?
Private room is good, and upstairs actually sounds good as well.
Okay. So let's go over here. They do indeed have a private room for you. Right up here. It's going to be a little expensive if you're getting a private room. It's going to be on the order of 60 copper or 6 silver a night. But you have 4,000 copper, so you should be fine.
Okay. And maybe I'll negotiate a little discount by playing here.
Yeah. As you're being shown to your room by the proprietor, he gives a stop and says, "Now, we're here a inn and tavern, so if you have any, if you're going to be doing any nightly visitors, you head down onto the brothel down the way for that sort of thing, all right? We don't want any of that trouble over here. You hear?"
Understood. This is a respectable place that serves foreign sailors and dock workers, and will have nothing as disreputable as nighttime visitors to tarnish the reputation.
I'm just more worried about property damage. But yeah.
All right, understood. If that were to happen, I imagine I would have to pay a little extra to make up for anything that's...
You'd have to pay for damages and repairs and, any noise ordinances that we get fined. He gives you kind of like a knowing look.
Because it's understood then.
Good.
All right. I will settle into my room. I will put the bundle with my bow and rapier. What's the setup in the room here? Is there an armoire? Is there just the bed?
I'll head back to that screen for us. There's a bed. There, I guess that's an armoire over here, or a bench or something. It can be whatever you need it to be.
All right. Well, I mean, this is a sailor bar. It's probably fairly minimal, the arrangements. I'll just put the bundle under my bed.
Mm-hmm.
I'll set Sophie down.
Mm-hmm.
Let her get used to the place here. So is there a window looking out over this rocky escarpment?
Yes, there is. There's not much room between the window and the rocks. In fact, if you were to open the window and lean out, you could probably touch the rocks, but it provides just enough light so that your room isn't, pitch black in the middle of the day. It's just kind of dimly lit.
Seems like I could get in and out and climb up that fairly easily, although it seems like it'd be trivial for someone else to do that, too.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, to both accounts.
Okay, so I'm going to sit down and on the bed, and I'll take the pouch of now 11 coins, 11 copper, out from under my shirt. I'll lay the copper out on the bed, all 11 of them, and look them over. And I'll pick up one and turn it over in my fingers for a little bit, as if I'm thinking about something. And then I say, Samantha. And maybe look a little mournful for a moment and put them all away. All right. So first we need to start taking care of things here. The candles that I bought, I am going to start by breaking one in half.
Okay. Snap.
I am going to take the first half, start rolling it between my hands, trying to get it nice and warm, rolling it fast till it heats up, gets softer. I'm going to start shaping it where it's relatively flat.
Okay. It's like a sheet, a thin sheet of wax.
Yeah, I mean, somewhat relatively flat. It's wax. It's probably half an inch thick.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do that with the other half of the candle.
Okay.
I'll look it over, judge if it seems to be enough.
Yeah, I think you got, a few pounds of wax, so you could very easily create a... Can I show this paper on stream? Sure, like a nice 8.5 by 11 or whatever sheet of wax.
Okay, this seems like a reasonable amount. And I am going to... I'll take one with me here. I'm going to put it in my shirt, so it's up against my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to take... I have various straps of cloth and things that I tie to my lute to decorate it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take a few straps and wrap them around my waist, sort of like a make-do cummerbund to, just to look somewhat stylish, but the main purpose is to hold the wax against my stomach to keep it warm and flexible.
Okay. So you've got wax kind of tied against your belly, which will keep it warm from all that body heat.
Mm-hmm.
It might make bending over a little bit awkward, but as long as you stay upright, it should be fine.
Yeah, I just didn't want it flopping around, obviously. So I had my shirt in and going, what the heck is that?
Mm-hmm.
And I have to explain that I'm just happy to see them. So now, all these people that had the keys.
Right.
One was the priest.
One was the Harbormaster, and one was the captain of the dock guard. So 3 people, each with a complete set of keys. And then there should be a dungeon key in the Harbormaster's office, which is located right next to the dungeon.
All right, and you said, though, that there's a number of different keys that one needs to gain access to the whole thing.
Right, so there's 5 keys. The front gates have 1 key. The jail cells have another key. The drunk tanks have a separate key from the regular jail cells. And then there are stockades and personalized cages inside as well. Each of those have their own separate key types. I don't know if you'll need all 5 key types. Maybe you only need 1 or 2. It's up to you.
But the key in the Harbormaster, were you saying that that's just for the gate? It's not going to be for all the...
No, the Harbormaster has a ring with all 5 keys on it. And then the key that's in the Harbormaster's shop, like just in the building hanging there, is just for the front gate. So the Harbormaster has 1 set, and then the Harbormaster's building has a separate single key.
All right. Nothing to see here. So...
Oh, hold on. Before we get any farther, Rob, I have word about how to properly drink out of a stein. You're supposed to let...
I called it spoon. Spoon is involved.
Oh, okay. You're supposed to let out a controlled stream of liquid poured out of the stein and fall into your mouth without the stein actually touching you. So,
That sounds cartoonish.
I'm assuming that this person took our request very seriously and they wouldn't lie to us. I'm assuming that this is a dead honest answer from a genuine German person.
I feel like that's an answer from somebody in the dry cleaning industry who's trying to create business.
I don't know. Their Twitter profile is of a person with chainmail and a full helm on, a full metal helm. They sound pretty authentic to me.
It does sound like someone who drinks a lot.
All right. Just thought you might need to know.
Okay, good to know. So, first thing, we had... so I should remember these things. We have the Harbormaster, we have the priest, and we have the...
Captain of the Dock Guard.
Mm-hmm. And what is the name? I think the priest was named Reginald?
Reginald Silver is the priest's name. The Harbormaster is Portia Moore, and the Captain of the Guard is named Grace. In the world of Arcadia, if you have a last name, that means you are of noble birth. If you don't have a last name, you're just a filthy commoner. So you can tell that the cleric and the Harbormaster are both nobles of some kind. And Grace, the captain of the dock guard, is just a non-noble who has achieved a pretty good rank.
All right, so time to start finding out information about them. Step 1. I was told to keep things in the brothel. Where would the brothel be? I'm going to go out and start looking around.
Well, that is not a difficult thing to find. Surprisingly, the docks have a well-established brothel scene. It is this other tavern that you walked past earlier. It is called, let me look up its name here, the Mermaids Kiss. And it is this tavern over here. Let's take a look. The one that you couldn't see upstairs on before. The downstairs is just this, all these rooms. Well, the upstairs is a series of bedrooms that you can rent by the hour or the half hour as needed, with varying qualities of privacy or publicity.
All right. So this seems like a good place to start listening for any thieves' cant.
Sure. Give me a perception check to see how well you can overhear conversations nearby. 16 is nice and solid. You spend maybe an hour or two in here listening around and eventually pick up just a little bit, but it's real slight. Someone's talking about a ship coming in that they're waiting to unload, and the word that they use for unload is one of those thieves' words that has a double meaning, and they're meaning that they've got some goods on it that they want to get off without the authorities spotting it. But that's the only word of thieves' cant that you pick up. It appears that this Reginald Silver has been cracking down on the crime here, and the people are a little bit more wary. Because everywhere else you've been, people are happy to use as many thieves' cant words as possible, or as needed. And these people appear to be very careful with it. Very kind of like making sure there's no authorities here, and then dropping in the one word that they need to get their point across.
Okay. They look like sailors, or they look like...
No, they look like... these two look like dock workers, which is odd that they're over here at the Mermaids Kiss instead of at the dock workers tavern. At least it seems odd until a young lady comes down the staircase, and the guy kind of looks up and realizes it's his turn and heads up the staircase, leaving the person who dropped the bit of thieves' cant alone to sit at a table for a while.
All right. I am going to buy 2 beers over at the bar. I'm going to take them both and sit down with the person who dropped the thieves' cant.
Gives you an odd look as you come over, and
I say, waiting is thirsty work and best shared. And I push a beer over towards him.
he takes the beer and gives you an appropriate nod.
He goes, Seem like you work the docks here. Maybe you could give me some information. I'm looking to hire a navigator. There's always better to get a skilled one that can help steer a ship through stormy waters. And I'll try to drop some words in there when I a reference when I say navigator.
What is the thieves' cant word for navigator? What is the double meaning on that one?
A guide, someone with information, an informant.
Give me a persuasion check against his passive insight, because he's wary. He's really, oh my god.
He's not. He is not wary.
No. You're smooth and you're slick. There's no way a cop could be this, like, yeah. Gives you a nod and goes, yeah. I know a guy. He knows all the waters and all the rocks, knows all the good places and the bad. What you looking for? Where are you going, really?
Yeah. It's hard to tell when you're going out. So sometimes you want to know about the rocks that hide in the local waters, or perhaps are most prominent in them. Sometimes it's the depths that are dangerous that you wish to know more about. And I make a little a slight shake of my head in the direction of the dungeon, which is just outside.
Gives a bit of a nod. Let's see. Yeah. So what are you looking for here? There's a lot of interpretations of that, and I want to make sure you get the information you're looking for from this guy.
All right, I'll I'll make it clear to him that I would like to. First, I want to talk to somebody who's been in the dungeon
Mm-hmm.
and can tell me a bit about it, the layout.
I have personally sailed some rocky waters before. You know, I done it while I was pretty drunk a couple of times. Don't recommend it. It's it can be pretty dark in there. Those waters with, on a full moon, on a night with no moon, it's pitch black. Not a lick of light anywhere to be found except for what you bring with you, and that leaves when you're left alone. Let's see.
Waters like that seem like they're best charted.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Now, as I said, my friend knows more, but I've just been around the block, just through that one little section there. Looks around and leans in a little bit closer and goes, before I say any more, what do I get out of this?
I'm gonna look around for the most attractive worker here in the brothel.
Mm-hmm. There are a few workers hanging out, waiting for business.
I'll call one over with my best smile.
Sure. She walks on over. She's got kind of bluish greenish hair that looks like it's been dyed fairly recently, and is wearing a mermaid's outfit down to her ankles. So it's like a tight dress, and she's kind of got like shuffle step to get anywhere. And then it's got like the seashells and the ocean themed jewelry and outfit. She smiles and takes a seat on the table itself, right next to you.
Okay, what is a reasonable amount for services here, so I don't accumulate myself or way overpay?
I have no idea what a proper hourly rate would be at an establishment like this. But it's down by the docks, so can we say it's 2 gold an hour? 3 gold an hour?
How much is a normal day's wage?
A silver.
Well, just for normal workers, so...
unskilled labor gets a silver a day for labor. So maybe not a gold?
So a gold an hour would be, 10 days wages.
Right.
2 weeks of work with, not counting weekends. Just, that seems a bit high.
It does seem a bit high. I guess maybe it's a single. I think it's maybe a gold. Well, if you're looking for the nicest person here, right? There's going to be a variable range. Mm-hmm. So there will be people who work for a lot less, and there's going to be people who work for a lot more, depending on clientele. So if you've called over one of the higher paying or higher charging workers, it'll probably be closer to 2 or 3 gold. While if you're bringing over one of the cheaper workers, it'll be maybe like 5 silver.
2 or 3 gold. So pulling out my abacus, 200 or 300 copper just for that.
Yes.
All right. I'll hopefully I've got some silver. I mean, it would be rather stupid and not suave at all for me to have to 197, 198.
No, you don't need to do that. The bag of money that you were given has an assortment of gold and silver and copper coins, so that it's not like weird that you've just got a bag of all one thing and you can easily make change as needed. So you can pay in gold, or you can pay in silver, or you can.
All right. I'm going to lay out 2 golds on the table and put a finger on each and push them over. and said, "It's my friend's birthday. I don't suppose you'd pick something up from the bar for the two of you and help him drink it."
She looks over to your friend and gives him a smile, and he leans back in his chair and goes, "It's my 32nd birthday. I need a drink." And probably, no, he kind of blushes and looks to the side and mumbles something to himself under his breath. And then gets up and walks with her as she kind of shuffle steps her way. And he gives you a look and a thumbs up and a mouth like, "I'll be back in a bit." And heads off with her for a while. So you've got some time to yourself before your newfound friend returns.
Okay. I will try to take a moment to take a little bit of time to establish a conversation with somebody who seems kind of mouthy and seems like a regular, someone who likes to talk.
Yeah, let's see. There is an older gentleman. He's got the salt colored beard. He's got an eye patch over one eye. He's missing a few fingers on his left hand. And he's sitting at, let's bring up the tavern again. Bring up the floor plan so we can see where all this is going down. He is sitting right over here in this room. Let's get rid of that tavern sign, which is kind of getting in the way. There we go. Yeah, so he's sitting right over here and kind of looking into this warehouse area and trying to see through this window where there's not a very good line of sight. He's kind of just telling a story to no one in particular. There's a few other people in this room, and he's just talking about the olden days of the sea and the adventures he's had, and how none of these young whippersnappers will ever appreciate the trouble that he and his generation went through to get the world to where it is today, where it's workable and sustainable, and we built this world and none of you kids appreciate it. I was on this one ship this one time called the Sea Skipper, and octopuses. Everywhere there are octopuses. You don't see any octopuses these days. That's because me and my mates, we took care of all them giant octopuses. They crawled all over the decks, and he kind of goes on a rambling story about the good old days.
Back in his day, they had to cross the ocean 10 miles each way on foot, uphill both ways.
Mm-hmm.
In the snow.
Mm-hmm. And the dark.
Because it was always 10 feet high all over the ocean.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to take some time. I'm just going to be drinking a beer, listening. I'm going to try to assess things I want to know is if this guy who's mentioned being a sailor, if he's... I'm hoping for somebody that maybe he's retired and has lived here for a while, that is not just only here a week out of a given year when the ships come through or something. Number one. And number two, since he keeps looking into the warehouse, keeping an eye out the window, I'm trying to determine if he is, he seems very watchful, if he might have any particular reasons he's doing that. If he's casing the place, if he's keeping an eye out, if perhaps he's a watch for somebody.
So yeah, you comment, you start to ask him a couple of questions, and he immediately takes it and runs off with it. And you learn that he's here because his son is on a ship, and the ship is late. It should have come in yesterday, and you know how the seas are. Coming through the canals is a dangerous thing, and if the tides aren't quite right, you might be delayed for a day or 2 days, or the ship takes the navigator ain't up to chops, and you get crashed right against the rocks, and everyone's dead, and he's a little worried about his son, and it just keeps What have I done? He just keeps talking and talking. So he's looking out the window, waiting for his son's ship to come in. He seems retired. He's slurring his words and pretty drunk already, even though it's barely past noon. Although I guess that doesn't mean you're retired. He might just be a typical sailor, but he doesn't... He's got that sort of... What's the look that someone has put down roots in a bar and they're there all the time sort of look about him, you know?
Norm.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right. When he's talking about his, the ship being late,
Mm-hmm.
talking about his son, I say, I wouldn't get too worried about it. Man plans, the seas laugh. The ship will be here soon enough. Just not on the sea's time, not on our time.
Tell me about it. The sea's got all sorts of time. You see what it's done to my face? It's aged it something awful. Would you believe I'm only 18?
I wouldn't actually.
Good, because I'm not. Oh. But seriously, it's, going through that Grand Canal's a tight needle, a tight thread to sew. Or it's a tight eye to thread. Look, you're threading a needle and it's hard, especially when you only got one eye, and that's what the Grand Canal's like. Now you get in that little middle pocket there, and the riptides will pull you apart and twist your ship around, and tides are coming in and out, and you'll get broadsided, and the whole thing will flip. You gotta stick to those rocky edges, and boy, is it dangerous. This one time I was going past Keldaram, and our skipper was a little drunk at the wheel, and he turned in with the whole ship just got caught up in a wave, and we got tossed back and forth, and eventually, with my great training, I was able to knock the drunken skipper to the side and wheel us around. We had to head back into the canals and lost 2 days of time, and I lost my eye in the process, but we survived. Gotta live by your wits. What was the question again?
So I'll take up on him having to knock the captain to the side. And I'm going to try to steer the conversation in general into, people like, that are supposed to be all high and mighty and know what they're doing, like the captain. I'll try to, like, over the course of a while, steer the conversation to, other people that are supposed to be all high and mighty that maybe, there's more to them that they wouldn't like people to know. And eventually what I'm trying to steer him towards are prominent people who end up here in private rooms at the Mermaids Kiss. And in particular, I'm just trying to use the topic of prominent people, but I'm hoping in particular to find out about the Harbormaster or the captain of the guard. If
Sure.
they're patrons, or get information about them, or going beyond patronage, just finding out if he knows any dirt about either of them. But I'll listen to dirt about any high and mighty person, as part of the whole process.
Right.
I think it'll take a couple hours, probably.
Sure.
If that last monologue was any indication.
It will go on and on, probably. Why don't we give you all of that information when we come back from our break, because it's just about break time right now. So we'll see you guys all in a quick moment on the other side of our break. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Shenanigans, our non-rotating cast show. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe if Rob dies and I can't take any more of his crap, we'll rotate him out. Probably not, though.
Neil, you've been taking my crap for how long now? Don't undersell yourself.
A long time. 10? No, not...
It's
Just shy of 10 years. 9 years? Yeah. Nine-ish years.
So that, well, you came to my 42nd birthday. Or at least you were invited. I can't remember if you came.
I believe I attended, yes.
Yeah, so probably 10 years now.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to imagine that it really has been that long, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was 2009 when we first met and started playing, I think. Right? Somewhere around 2009.
I'm glad it was so memorable for you that you wrote it and dated it in your diary.
Well, I remember because we would play D&D at my place that I had with Ryan sometimes, and I only had that apartment or that house for like 2009 through 2010. I only lived there for like 9 months while we were playing D&D there. So it's got to be in that realm, 2009 to 2010.
Wow, 10 years. So like little George is all grown up.
Yeah. I haven't seen much of her lately, but I guess since no one else know who Georgia is, we can reminisce and catch up.
Talking about her. Just talking about people that no one here knows for a while.
Yeah. I saw Justin talked to Justin online the other day.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I had pizza with him down here.
Oh, wonderful.
Like a month ago.
Isn't he up in Sacramento these days?
Yeah, he was heading down to LA.
Oh, okay. Cool. Nice.
So, Cavalier guest. So we're not talking about people you don't know. We're log rolling for other streamers and showing off our own streamer cred.
Yeah.
That we know amazing, huge names like Cavalier Guest.
In the world of Heroes of the Storm, he does actually quite a bit of stuff there. If you're a HOTS fan, you might actually know him.
Yeah, he said he was a coach.
Yeah. Well, let's come back to murdering people. To things that other people can relate to. So it's not just Neil and Rob have fun while other people watch. Let's let everyone in.
That was the proposal given to me.
That's a very different show that you can catch on our stream at a different time. It is a pay to play or view only.
You told me it was going to be just us having fun. I think you called it the Neil and Bob show.
Assassins.
Yeah.
Assassins, murders, killing. Yes. So the gentleman you were talking to, let's get our tavern music back up, our tavern soundtrack back up. You had asked, before we got all distracted, what did you ask him again?
I wanted to get any dirt I could about the captain of the guard and the Harbormaster.
Right.
And I want to ultimately get a from the thief that I just set up there, or the whoever he is that I just set up there, trying to. I eventually want to get a map of the dungeon.
Sure. So you learn that Grace, the harbor captain, is not too happy with Reginald Silver, the cleric that's come down here. They both kind of consider themselves the center of law and authority on the docks. Grace, the captain of the dock guard, has been doing her job for a while now. She's in her early 30s, but inherited this job from the person before her, and she was a dock guard before that. And so she's been here a long time. And she kind of feels like she's been the authority on law and order. And this cleric, this noble cleric, shows up, and since he's a noble and a cleric with, divine powers from the goddess Air, she can't really tell him to fuck off. But she doesn't really like it because he's coming down and be like, well, I'm going to clean up the docks now, and it's all, I'll take care of this. The dock harbor guards have been, failing on their job, so it's time for a real authority to step on in. So there's a little bit of bad blood between the two of them. They will cooperate because they're both lawful good characters who are working towards the same ends, but they'll butt heads a bunch. Let's see. Grace is a little bit tall. She's like 5'8", 147 pounds, in her early 30s. You'll know that she is left-handed and very, what's the word, paranoid. She's overly suspicious of everything and is doubly questioning everything. Portia Moore, the Harbormaster, is a single mother. She has a 4-year-old son who lives with her down by the docks. They have an apartment right next to her office. So if you scroll to the right of the tavern, we've got the dungeons and we've got the Harbormaster's office right here. Her apartments are upstairs in this building right next to that, where her and her 4-year-old son live. Yeah. Portia is, average height, 5'5", 139 pounds. She's not really much of a fighter or anything like that. She doesn't wear any armor, doesn't have any weapons. If I had to apply, she's a little laconic, she's kind of, yeah.
All right.
She's just short, to the point.
So she's over there. And where did you say the captain of the guard lives?
The captain of the guard, Grace, has let me make sure it's in frame, has a spot over here in this building, just south of Portia's.
Okay.
You'll hear from the other guy when he comes down that the guards have their own guard house right here. So this little block that we're looking at in here is all management and guard houses and residences for management and guards. This is the where they all live and work down here.
Okay. I never realized that Portia de Rossi mispronounces her name, that the correct way to say it was Portia.
Who?
Portia de Rossi.
I don't know her.
She's Lindsay on Arrested Development.
Oh.
But yeah, someone should tell her the correct way to say her name.
Portia, yeah.
Yeah.
Not Portia, Portia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how embarrassing it must be for her to have mispronounced your name all these years.
Yeah. So if you walk down by the docks and you take a route through the streets, you can kind of look in through the open door to the Harbormaster's office and spot Portia hanging out in there.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the gentleman that you're talking to.
And I'm listening to his voice. I'm studying it, the cadences, the rhythms of how he talks.
Mm-hmm. He's rambly. He's almost as rambly as I am, and he'll just kind of go on and then change course mid-conversation and present a topic that you think he's going to follow up on, and then just kind of bypass it, and never circle back around to the end of the story that you wanted to hear. So he'll just kind of drone and...
Yeah, well, I listen for the sort of ups and downs of his rhythms, for the weight that he puts on different syllables and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He goes on, and you're asking for any sort of bad blood around here, and he's like, well, the former captain of the guard was a different sort of feller. He wasn't nearly as good at his job as Grace feller is. You know, the former guy, he knew how business worked. He'd turn a blind eye to a sailor making a mess of things, because then the sailor would turn a blind eye when he made a mess of things. And we scratched his back, he scratched our back. Not this Grace feller. She's all high and mighty, holier than thou. The dock can't smell like a dock because, you know, High Castle's all high and mighty and trying to vie for most powerful city in the world, and, you know, so she's gotta, you know, stick up her butt for certain. Portia doesn't give a shit about anything. I mean, of course she does. She's a noble. She cares about all the wrong things, but she just does her job, keeps her head down. Is kind of lower family member there. Don't know why she's, you know, the real weird thing is why noble lady like that has a son and no husband, right? I don't know. Their dock is full of rumors about it. Some say he died. Some say he left her. Some say she left him. Some say she died, but that doesn't make any sense if she's still here and he is not. So where the father of her child is, no one knows. But we like to ask questions. All sorts of questions.
It always is the last thing you expected. Maybe she did die. Maybe the father's a necromancer.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe the father killed himself, and they switched bodies, and maybe she is really him pretending to be her to get away with the murder of her, which is really him. You know, it could be anything. Could be anything.
I don't know. You know, I'm a bard. I've been in a lot of performances, and I got to tell you that whenever someone pulls in a body swapping plot, those are just the most ill-advised, weakest episodes of any series of stories.
What?
When people, I mean, what kind of an amateur pulls in a body swapping story and builds a character based on that?
I think what are you talking about? There's entire monsters whose sole purpose is to body swap. You ever heard of a doppelganger? I once fought a doppelganger, looked just like me. That's how I lost these fingers on my left hand, you see. It was over there. We were in a tavern, just him and I, quiet, late at night. I saw him across the room. Every time I stepped towards him, he stepped towards me. I would raise my hand to try and threaten him, and he'd look just like me, you see? And I'm a right-handed man, so I gave him a feint with the right hand, and then a hard left, and his glass jaw just shattered and fell to the ground, but it, cut me something fierce, and lost a lot of blood, and my fingers just withered and fell off, and that's why I only got the 3 on the left hand. Doppelgangers.
Yeah, and in the morning you realize that just to get revenge on you, he'd broken in and shattered your mirror.
How'd you know that part of the story? I mean, it wasn't my mirror, it was the mirror down by the bar. But doppelgangers, they're everywhere. You can't trust them. You can't trust anyone that looks just like you.
True. All right. So once I've got everything I need from him, I'll check back in with my new friend downstairs.
Yeah, your new friend is sitting over at a bar at the... He's sitting out... that's not the right button. Over here. So you can head over and sit next to him or across from him or whatever. And yeah. You gotta let it pour from a distance. It's all right.
Like I said, that just seems like a recipe for needing a new shirt.
Not if you pass your acrobatics check. So your guy has come.
This is inherently, the contents are inherently meant to give you disadvantage on acrobatics. It seems like a really poor design.
That's the fun of it. Anyway, This guy's come down. He's sitting at the table. He looks a little bit more relaxed, and he sees you coming back over and gives you a bit of a wave and says, "So, what'd you want to know?" What?
Well, I'd like some information about, the depths of the ocean there, and a chart would be best. And I should still have plenty of paper and my ink from last time.
Sure.
I only wrote one little note.
He looks around and says, "You got a place that we can safely talk in?"
Yes, I imagine we could find a private room or place here, right?
He looks around the crowded bar room and goes, "I don't know. Those rooms upstairs are expensive. Where are you staying?"
What was the name of the place again?
The sea shanty?
Sea shanty. I don't know if I want to raise much suspicion by bringing these guys in here. I said, well,
Seaside shanty, my apologies.
I said, do you have a reputation at the seaside shanty?
Only for being one of their very best customers.
All right, then. I've got a room there.
All right.
Private
The two of you can make your way to the seaside. Let's bring us over here. You slip into your room upstairs, no questions asked. And he will begin to draw you a map of the area. Let's see, how do we want to do this? Let me make an intelligence check for him, see how well he knows the area. Surprisingly well. He tells you he's been in the drunk tanks more than once, and he's known a few people who have spent some more time on the inside. And he can draw you map. Let me open up a new map. And, ooh, this is gonna be awkward. Oh. Let's bring you over to this map. And I'll make a rough hand drawing that he makes for you. So there is like an entryway. Gonna look a little bit like this, I think. Oh god. How do I draw from one map to another? Maybe I can open two instances of Roll20 at the same time and just look back and forth between the two. That's how we're gonna do it. Okay. So he draws you. Comes a little like this, and over here, and back, and up, and over, up, and over, and down, up, da, da, da. Oh god, that's not right at all. I should be better at drawing maps by now. Up, over, up, over, up, over like this. So he'll do this and then tell you that there are two sets of drunk tanks. Right, whoops. Here, this would be the front entrance. We got comes over here. Something that comes up this way.
Are there any happy trees? I don't see any happy trees here.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's making this like really crude, ugly map. And I will try and make sense of it for you as soon as I'm done doodling it. Trying to keep it not too specific. God, but my drawing is terrible. I don't think we're gonna have a problem with it not being too specific.
All right, while Neil is working on that, I'll just tell them about the special Neil lottery that's hold. It's you just pick a number between 1 and 10, and if you get the right number, hint, it's an even one, then you win an all-expenses-paid trip with Neil to Hawaii to watch the lava pour into the sea.
Ooh. Wow. Someone win that so I can get an all-expenses-paid trip to Hawaii. What? Who's putting up the prize money?
Why, you are, Neil.
Oh, shit.
Coy about that. Then you get to live with Neil for the next 6 months. That's right. There's skiing and a mountain, presumably, that your city is on top of. And I imagine there's mooses?
There are some moose in Rocky Mountain National Park. We just saw some recently. All right, so his map is doodled. Let's see. Let's get the chat to zoom out properly on it. So he makes this sort of crude map and tells you that this area right here that I'm about to mark in green is the front door. And then the areas I'm marking in pink are the drunk tanks. The area in red, whoops, that's not red, that's still pinkish purple. This area over here is the long-term dungeon storage. That's where they go, that's where they put you if you're gonna be there for a long time. These areas in purple, different purple, are where they go for their interrogations. That's where they put you if they're gonna need you immediately. That's their interrogation chambers. And the holding cells for people who are gonna be interrogated pretty soon are these guys over here. And to a lesser extent, the ones over here. I ain't never been on this side, but I heard about them before. Should be some other stuff over there too. Some guard stores or something, I don't know. Stockades are in the yellow zone. Except yellow doesn't show up well, so let's do the orange zone, or oh god, everything else is orange. The blue zone is where the stockades are. He kind of looks at his map and sits back proudly like, yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
Okay. So with this priest, Reginald, the drunk tanks as full as they used to be, or are they getting thinned out?
Priests don't make a difference. You can't stop drunken behavior.
How full are they usually? They've got two of them.
Depends on the night and how many ships are in. I'd say occasionally they're empty. On a busy night, they might both be packed with 5 or 6 folks. You know, they're decent sized for drunk tanks. You know, maybe 15 by 15. Most of the cells are sort of biggish, 10 by 10 or 15 by 15. Some are even a little bit more accommodating than that.
All right.
Anything else you need to know, my good buddy and friend? He says, patting you heavily on the shoulder.
Yes, I appreciate these charts. I trust that they're accurate. I would hate to go into these waters and find things not marked as they could be.
Look, they're as accurate as the map is. I mean, it ain't not to scale, and I'm no surveyor. I'm just telling you what I remember from the waters. It can be turbulent.
I appreciate it. How many sharks would one find in these waters typically?
0. Sharks don't usually swim in these waters unless they're passing through or, making a kill or something. But day to day, moment to moment, empty, dark waters. Like the deep ocean, just empty darkness. Maybe voices of other little fish caught up in nets, but sharks only come through when they got a specific thing they need to do.
That's good to know. Been very helpful. I hope you had a fine time with the mermaid. As well. I'll definitely keep you in mind should I need any other charts or any other guidance in the waters hereabouts.
He gives you a nod and a wink.
I try to make sure we part on good terms here.
Yeah, he leaves. You guys are on more or less good terms.
All right, excellent. In case I need him again. Now, I would like to go check out the area around. Is it meant to be clever that the Harbormaster is named Portia?
Portia Moore? I don't know.
Portia Moore? No, of course not. So, let's see. Looking at what is around Portia's place here. So that is right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are the other places around? That's the actual Harbormaster's office is across the way, right?
Yes, this is her office. Over here would be her residences. And I think the bottom of that building is sort of just like a hangout spot for... this is like a kitchen for the guards and sailors. For... someone needs to cook for all the guards and the captain and Portia's kid and everything. So this is the kitchen, and here's a small dining room. The stairs up the back here lead to her actual apartment, which is on the second floor.
Okay. What about the other buildings close by? I want to be able to check out her place, how best to get into it.
Sure. Let's see. That building that you just pinged is... I think that is a housing unit for dock workers. But let's double check because I don't remember off the top of my head. Dock worker house and inn. Yeah, so I think this is housing for various dock workers and maybe some like offices for some shipping companies that come in and out here, and maybe a little bit of extra storage back here.
All right.
Right, so this is a single-story roof or building here.
Okay, and she's up on the second floor of that other one.
Mm-hmm.
I will not going around with my loot. try to take on the appearance of a dock worker, just the way I walk and hold myself, and make a little circuit around that building that Portia's place is in. And I'm just walking around fairly casually, but I'm trying to see what kind of entrances there are to her place.
Sure.
Windows beyond that door, although it seems like that door into her place would actually be covered. The stairs would be covered, and it would be fairly concealed to try to pick her lock.
For her upstairs apartment?
Yes.
Yeah. There's pretty much nothing that looks out onto that staircase or that doorway. Unless someone's actually walking around back there, it's pretty concealed.
And with the cliff right there, it seems like it'd be pretty dark
Mm-hmm.
at various times, especially at night.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any windows? I mean, I'm assuming she's got windows for ventilation and light.
Yeah, let's see. There will be windows. Well, I guess you can see the layout here. You probably shouldn't be able to, but whatever. There's a window here, here, and then two over here. And this upstairs area is, there's like a balcony, and there's a roof over it, so it's nice and shady in case it's raining. But there's no windows facing this way. So if you were up on this balcony, you would be able to probably be away from most prying eyes at this doorway, I would expect.
Okay.
Whoops. That is definitely the wrong button. That is the correct button.
All right. I will go down to the docks, and I'm gonna look. I mean, it's their docks. I'm gonna look if there's any kids who are fishing.
Yeah. If we go far to the right, way, way, way over here, there's this crummy little dock over here. This is where a lot of the fishing boats and the smaller vessels find their place. And give me a perception check as you're scouting out these docks, please.
Not good.
No, not great. So never mind then. We'll forget that detail. If you keep coming farther to the right, you come to the private residences of the people who actually live down here. There are just a few private homes. Most of them belong to people who work in the shipping business professionally but don't really work on the ships. And some of them are for some, others. But there are a few kids down here on these private docks and these private residences hanging out and playing. These buildings here are warehouses. These ones are homes.
Okay.
So.
Well, I'm just looking for if there's any poor kids that happen to be fishing.
Yeah, there's a couple of kids hanging out, playing on the dock.
All right. I'll go up and inspect their catches.
Okay.
See what we've got. I'll find the youngest kid who has a fish.
Sure. The kids look up at you. Do you have what's your cat's name?
Sophie, not yet. She's
Okay.
gonna have to earn her keep in a little bit, but not yet.
Okay. Yep, there are a couple of kids here. Let's see. There are 4 children. There are 3 males and 1 female, and they're hanging out down on the dock. A couple of them have some fishing poles in. The other 2 have sticks that they're using as swords and playing pirates and marines.
All right. I'll find the youngest kid who's actually fishing or has a catch here.
Mm-hmm. Sure. It's the little boy there. He's not allowed to play pirates and marines because he's too small. He'd just be too easy to fight off. So he's got a little stick with a little line in it, hanging in the water.
All right. I'll look at the fish that he's caught. Wow, these are fine fish. You're a really good fisherman.
Looks up at you. The other kids stop what they're doing and look at the stranger who's appeared next to them. What's it to you, huh?
Well, I was looking to buy some fish. Are you selling them?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look at the smallest one and say how much is that one?
Copper.
I say, you sure that looks like a really tasty
2 copper.
That's what I thought. What kind of fish is that?
One of the older kids comes over and says, "It's a white trout."
Oh, excellent. Well, I would love a white trout like that.
2 copper, he says. The older kid says, putting out his hand.
I said, I think this was his fish.
I'm his manager. You pay me. I pay him.
That's okay. I think I'll pay him. He caught it.
All right. There's no arguing. You pay the kid. He gives you the fish. The older kids give him a little bit of dirty look, but what are they going to do?
All right. So I buy the fish from the kid. Now I look at which kids were playing pirates and which are Marines.
Yeah, the young girl and one of the boys that are the Marines. The oldest boy is the pirate.
All right. So when they're playing, I watch the pirates a little bit, and I'll say, actually, if you know what, I've seen pirates sword fight before, and the way you're holding that and the way you're blocking. Here, let me show you, and I'll use the fish as a sword and kind of wave it around and show them, a fancy disarming move.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, then you can knock the sword right out of the Marine's hand.
Ooh, and they practice the maneuver back and forth.
So I try them, I watch them, I talk to them a bit, try to get their trust going here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I say, I always like it when the pirates win.
What? No, the pirates are the bad guys.
Are they?
Yeah. The little girl looks at you with a furrow on her brow and says, "My daddy was killed by pirates.
Oh.
They're the bad guys."
Oh, I see. Yeah, if someone had killed my dad, I would definitely want to get revenge on them.
Is your dad alive?
I actually look a bit taken aback by that one. I'm a bit surprised. I say, no, he's not.
Did someone kill him?
They did.
Are you gonna get revenge?
I kind of put my fingers to the little pouch that I have under my shirt and move it around a little bit. I say, yes, I am.
Who killed your daddy?
I say, he's a walking corpse. He just doesn't know it yet.
Oh. What about your mom? Is your mom dead too?
She was killed too.
By the same person?
Yeah, I wasn't much older than you.
Oh, the kids have all stopped their sword fighting and are kind of just watching intense, listening. Who did it? What's their name? Do you know where they are?
I'll find him. So, just a matter of being patient. But I trust the gods will bring us together.
Why'd they kill your parents?
Because my parents wouldn't be slaves.
Oh. You have any brothers or sisters?
So, you got so many questions, and you've got a game of pirates and marines to fight. Well, don't forget those moves.
They turn back and kind of continue their sword play, but you can tell that they're maybe a little distracted, and their swords are kind of like tapping, and they're playing, but they're also sort of thinking.
Okay. I'll go back to my room at the seaside shanty.
Mm-hmm.
I'll feed Sophie. Actually, I'm not going to feed her yet. I'm going to hold on to the fish for now. And I say, well, Sophie, it's time to earn your keep. And I'm going to go out with Sophie on my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Petting Sophie, keeping her happy up there. She's used to hanging out on my shoulder. And did I see by any chance if Portia's daughter,
Son?
was it son
Son
was with her, or see the son playing around?
No, you saw him up on this upper porch by the residences.
Oh, so he's in the house?
He was in the house while you were walking around right now. Or, yeah, up on the porch. He's got a toy boat that he's making go up and down on the invisible waves.
Okay. I'm gonna, if I can, hang around the dock workers place. And I'm watching for a while to see if he goes out to play.
No. You hang out there for a while. It's probably getting pretty late in the day by now with all of these things that are going on. And he seems to just be hanging out up on that top deck.
I say, well, Sophie, it's showtime. And I'll set Sophie down where, so the child is up on the balcony.
Mm-hmm.
I'll set Sophie down on the grass back there, and I'll walk on.
So you'll set Sophie down on the grass back here?
I want Sophie where the boy can see Sophie.
Okay. So off on the right side, sure. You put the cat down, and after a while, the kid takes note of the cat as he sails around the balcony all the way around, and he comes to that side, and then looks over the edge and goes, "Kitty!"
All right, so I'm, staying off around the side, maybe like over here. I'm waiting to see if the kid comes out to go look for Sophie.
He's standing on the top, kind of reaching down for the cat, trying to reach for it, which of course is impossibly out of range. And then he comes over to the other side, like over to here, and looks off the balcony and kind of looks around for a moment, and then like goes and begins to head down the staircase. Now, while he's doing this, where are you hanging out?
I was just hanging back here.
Okay, so if he's gonna,
maybe I'm a dock worker just standing around.
Right, so if he comes down the staircase, he'll have to like walk right past you to get to the cat.
Uh-huh.
Yep. So that's what he does. He kind of looks at you as he comes down the stairs with like wide eyes, and like carefully walks past you, and then turns the corner quickly and goes to chase after the cat. How is Sophie with strangers and children?
I'm imagining that any cat is not particularly eager to be picked up by a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping Sophie's going to take off, although you could, I suppose, roll for that.
Yeah. So the kid goes to catch the cat. I'll give the kid a animal handling check, which is a 7. What is animal handling based off of? Is that charisma or wisdom? I think that's wisdom. Wisdom. Child's wisdom's not that great, but I think children are innately proficient with animal handling, which gets lost as you age. So let's call it like an 8 or a 9. And yeah, Sophie's not having any of it. So he goes to pick her up, and she just like walks away. And he goes to pick her up, and she walks away, and then she just keeps walking, and he starts chasing after her a little bit. And God knows how long the kid will be gone, distracted by the cat.
All right. So I'm going to try to stealthily move around. Does the Harbormaster's office have a view of the door to the Harbormaster's home?
Let's see. We can see these 2 windows from the office. One of them looks right onto the stairs. The other looks into the downstairs dining room sort of area. But neither of them can really see up very well. That upper balcony will very easily hide everything.
All right. In that case, then, I am going to stealthily move my way up to the door of the home.
Give me a stealth check. Versus Portia's passive perception. I believe that is a pass. You slip upstairs easily. The kid is gone.
All right. I'm going to examine the door from probably left open, or certainly at least not locked.
Right.
So I'm examining the door and the lock as best I can.
The door is open. You know, the kid's coming in and out.
Yeah, but I'm basically, my hope is to examine it and even try to sort of practice pick it so that I can have advantage on it later when it counts.
Sure. Give me a lock-picking check right now. And if you do well, we'll give you advantage the second time through.
All right. So basically, is that just dex and proficiency with thieves' tools?
Yes.
Okay. So proficiency is 2 and dex is 3. So just a d20 plus 5 then?
Yes. Very nice. You practice the lock a few times. It's easy peasy. It's a relatively simple lock on her home door. Yeah.
Okay. What do I feel like the difficulty of this is, this lock?
DC 10.
Oh, okay. Perfect. So having done that, I'm going to start to slip away and go looking for Sophie.
Sure. Now, before we get too far with this, can you tell me what your intention with this room is, like slipping into here later? Is that something you want to share with us?
I need keys.
So you're gonna get the keys off of Portia when she goes to sleep?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just making sure we're all on the same page. You can head off and you'll find the kid maybe a few hundred feet down the docks, carefully going after Sophie, who has made her way out to... Let's go over here. Has made her way out on this dock right here. And the kid is kind of got her cornered. So like Sophie's out at the edge of this, and the kid is coming through here, carefully winding his way down, trying to corner her at the end of the dock.
Okay. So I'll head up before Sophie gets loved by a 4-year-old. I'll come up going, Sophie, Sophie.
She looks at the kid angrily.
Okay, I'll come up past. As I head up there, I'll call to the kid. Thank you. You found Sophie for me.
Her name is Sophie?
Yes, it is.
Can I hold her?
I don't know if she wants to be held, but you could feed this fish to her. I bet she'd like that.
He'll take the fish eagerly from your hands and hand it to Sophie, who feels a little patronized and gives the kid the like, you want me to eat from your hand?
I'll
What if I
pick
don't
up
want to eat from
Sophie
your hand?
and hold Sophie to help her feel a little better about the whole process.
Fine. I guess I'll just eat from your hand then. Ugh. And she'll start eating the fish, but sarcastically, like, ugh, God, fine. Yeah, it goes by, and eventually, after the cat is fed, the kid will head back before his mom catches him away from the dock, away from his spot where he's supposed to be hanging out.
All right. So I'm gonna head back with Sophie. Say, well done, Sophie. I knew I could count on you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to head back to my room then. Thing to do is to wait until tonight.
All right. We will wait until tonight, and tonight will be on the other side of our break, so we will see you in a minute on the other side. Bye-bye, everyone. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Assassin. It has only been one day. You know, this is the same day that you've arrived here in town, and already you have a plan. You are working very quickly, it seems.
Yeah, so I'm gonna spend the rest of the day just relaxing and having a nice meal at the sea shanty.
Lovely. The remainder of the day passes swiftly, and soon evening is upon us.
All right. Once it gets nice and late, once everyone has gone to bed, it's after midnight.
Mm-hmm.
I am actually going to put on my dark clothes for the wonderful illustration from Mr. Burger.
Okay. So you will toss on, where is it here? Our little, your dark clothes with your wide-brimmed hat. I take it you're not carrying your rapier with you? Or your short bow or anything like that?
No, I will have a dagger.
Yeah.
And I am going to go out my window to those convenient climbing rocks
Mm-hmm.
and splinter cell my way down there.
All right.
Whichever game is the spy game. I don't know.
I think Splinter Cell is one of the spy games. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I Fallout 4ing my way down there is more my style, but I don't know that that's anything except falling.
So we're looking over here, yeah?
Yeah, so I'm heading over there. I'm heading along the base of the cliff here, so I figured it's especially dark. It's even darker than normal for night because you've got the cliff and the buildings blocking out even any starlight or moonlight.
Right. Okay, well, you have your token. I guess we don't need to do a lot of it moving across the map, though. So give me a stealth check as you're approaching this evening. Ooh, very nice.
I am the night.
Most certainly are. And you quickly find your way up this staircase without making a single squeak, and over to this door that you've picked before, and it's not a complicated lock, and it's nighttime. No one's around except for the people in the building that you're about to enter.
All right. I am the night.
You'll have advantage.
I have my whiskey on the rocks without the whiskey. Why? Because all I want is just ice.
Oh my god. Give me your lockpicking check at advantage. Your thieves' tools check at advantage.
All right. Oh, I wonder, does it let me if I click thieves' tools? Does it? Yes, it does, right?
Oh, thank God for that advantage. Wow. Yeah. You remember how to do this, no problem, and you easily open the lock.
See, good thing I did a deception on a 4-year-old child in order to prepare for this. All right. I am sneaking in. I get inside. I do not close the door all the way. I leave it slightly ajar. I give my eyes time to adjust. I'm moving very slowly. I've got all the time in the world. I step near the walls in order to...
Sure. Well, why don't you show us where you're going as well?
All right. So first, I'm just moving along the walls. So the idea there is, A, not to be out in the middle of the room, and I don't imagine it will be up, though, but mainly because the floor is going to be less creaky by the walls. All right. I am looking around, surveying this room. I'm looking for the keys.
All right. You take a look in this first room here. There's a couple of benches, a table. I guess these aren't benches. These are drawers and dressers and tables over here. Then
Well,
there's
near the door. Are there any like key hooks? Does she hang her keys on?
No, not
Ways a lot of people do.
not in this front room. She's not.
Okay.
You can kind of pop in through the door and take a look around. See that there's no keys here. There is a doorway to presumably the bedroom that's up a slight few steps. There's some kids' toys lying around, some wooden swords and boats and oars and little toy sailors.
I make especially sure I don't step on any squeaky rubber ducks.
Thank God the rubber duck hasn't been invented yet. But you do have to be careful of the banana peels lying around the floor.
And those blue shells.
Mm-hmm.
So I take my time. The initial suite is along the edges, with the walls, but most people put their furniture up against the walls. It looks like in this room, so that's my advantage. And I'm gonna take all the time in the world. I'm gonna spend 10 minutes slowly, carefully searching this room, and I'm keeping an eye as I go for where it would be, even if she were to come in with a candle, the darkest place, like, under that table would be a good place to duck.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm watching, designating myself a hiding place and being ready to go to it in a moment's notice.
Perfect. You give this area a good scan. These drawers over here you can open very quietly with your 25 stealth check. There's nothing of interest in them to you personally. There's maybe some ledgers, some papers, clothing items, personal effects that have no bearing to the mission at hand.
All right. So after 10 minutes, thoroughly search this room the best I can. There's no sign of the keys.
Right. No sign of the keys here. I know the map doesn't quite show it, but there is a door right here.
All right.
In
Are
the
the
doorway.
hinges on this side or the other side?
The door opens into the room.
So
Or
the
opens
hinges
in
are on
that
the
way.
other side.
Yeah.
All right. That's unfortunate. Next time I should oil the hinges while the child chases the cat. I am going to, over the course of a minute, slowly turn the doorknob, slowly start easing the door open.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It opens easily and quietly.
All right. I will start very slowly doing a check of this room. I imagine I can see one bed as being bigger than the other.
Yeah. As you get into the room, you can see that one of the beds has a large person in it, and the other bed has a small person in it. The southern one is where Portia is sleeping. The northern one is where her child is sleeping.
Okay. So it looks like there's table, various things near Portia.
Right, and this is where you spot the keys. They are hanging on the wall right next to this chest, right about here.
All right. I am going to take a let's see, I guess my sash, I'll remove that, the one that's holding the wax.
Mm-hmm.
I will use that cloth to very carefully grab the keys so that the cloth will muffle them and keep the keys from jingling together.
Uh-huh. Give me a second stealth check for that.
All right.
Very nice. Very quiet.
Okay, I am going to go out to the first room where the door was to the whole place.
Mm-hmm.
And so now with the where every noise and breath won't be quite so noticeable, I will make an impression in the wax of each of the keys.
Okay.
How many keys does she have here?
5 keys. And each key, of course, has 2 sides. I guess that you don't need to do both sides since you're not making a mold of the key. You just need to know the shape of the key.
Well, I mean, I've got wax. I could make
Sure, you could.
both sides if I need to.
Yeah,
It wouldn't hurt to have both sides.
sure.
All right. Once I have that and I'm satisfied,
Mm-hmm.
I am going to just put that carefully in my pack and go return the keys.
All right. You put the keys back up on the hook quietly.
Locked and everything.
Yep. The boy stirs slightly in his bed, but only like a child would while sleeping. Rolls over. No one spots you.
Okay. And I'm going to sneak my way back out.
Okay.
I want to reverse pick the lock to lock it.
Okay. You have already picked it twice. We'll just say you can easily pick it again without any problems.
All right. And I go back to my room in through my window.
All right. Easy peasy. You have made copies of the keys and gone back to your tavern, your inn, with no one being the wiser.
All right. I light a candle. I'm going to spend a little bit of time matching up the lock picks that I have in my thieves' tools to each of the 5 locks or 5
Okay.
keys.
Yeah, they all look more or less the same. They're all using the same sort of format of key, but it's just different arrangements of protrusions. So you find the right set of tools that you would need for this job.
All right. And okay, on each of my thieves' tools, because I mean these are replaceable. I could buy a new set if I need to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to designate these keys 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. As I study them and get to learn. And
Sure.
then the picks that best match up to each of them, I'll put 1 notch for key 1, 1 notch for key 2. Just since I'm going to be fumbling in pitch blackness for this, I
Right.
want to be able to find the right lock pick.
So you can physically feel which picks are for which sets.
Yes.
Perfect.
All right. And I'm going to go to bed.
All right. The night passes uneventfully. You wake up sometime the next morning, maybe a little bit later than usual. The sun is shining, barely comes into your room through that darkened window, and you make your way back down onto the docks.
All right. I will go down. Are the kids there again?
Yep, kids are still there.
All right, to the kid that I bought a fish from before. I'm so glad you're here. I need another fish. Are they biting? Have you caught one?
Not yet.
I'll be
Early.
back. I'll be back later to. Sometimes early is the best time to catch them. That's when they're biting.
What do you need the fish for?
For my
Are
cat.
you hungry? For your cat?
Yes.
Oh. What's the cat's name?
Sophie.
What
She's
color
gonna
is
be-
Sophie?
Sophie is black and white. She's going to be counting on you to catch a fish for her so she doesn't go hungry.
Hmm.
So So we're really counting on you. Do you think you can do it?
He nods enthusiastically.
Okay. I know you can. I'll be back later. And
Okay.
I am going to go get I imagine rope for sale all over the docks.
Easy peasy. You can buy as much rope without anyone asking any questions.
Okay. I am going to pick out an outfit that's different from what I have been wearing, just in case, and I'll have a hood.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually, because I think the best way to not call attention to your face is to have some other distinguishing feature that people remember that instead. So I'm going to find some white cloth among my various strips of cloth and things, something that would serve as a bandage. And I'm going to wrap my left hand very much as if it had been injured or something, and to give a distinguishing feature that's totally easy to change.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I am going to a couple of purchases I want to make as far as rope. I want to get myself a length of thin silk rope.
Okay.
Silk for strength, even though it's thin. I don't need a rope breaking on me.
Perfect. We can get you. This is not it. Where is our silk rope prices?
I need like 3 feet, if that.
Unfortunately, it only comes in 50-foot lengths. And that's just the way that they do their business here. So you can buy 50 feet of silk rope for 2,000 copper or 20 gold.
Half my copper?
You wanted silk rope. Did you have any money left over from the previous mission?
I imagine that I did. I can't remember everything I spent, but it wasn't. It was less than half of what I had.
So you had, let's say you had a 2,000 left over from your last mission because you started with 3K for that. So you would have had 6K at the start of this mission.
All right.
Yeah.
So I will certainly need silk rope. I'm looking for thin silk rope.
Yep. It's about yay big, at the size of a dime, diameter of a dime.
And I also want, in here, I specifically want used rope. Just
used silk rope.
No. The silk rope is new.
Okay.
But now I also want to get another length of rope. And I want it used. I want it frayed. I want secondhand rope with stains on it and just looks like it smells like fish. That's just well-used rope.
Sure. There is plenty of well-used rope that you can buy secondhand. Let's see. Thin, regular hempen rope, 50 feet for 50 copper. If it's used and kind of old and ratty. I imagine you're in a place that would be selling it, and you point to a section of old used rope, and they're like, I don't know, half price for that stuff? It's what I've been using to haul in my boat, but you know, if money's an issue, sure, take it.
That's fine. I'll get that. Now I will put that back in my room, and I will head up to the blind cat.
Okay.
And I'll bring Sophie with me, because why not? She's been stuck in that room and otherwise chased by a 4-year-old.
Sure. Let's bring us to... Bring us to this map. This is the blind cat up on the cliff side. So you can see that there's a switchback staircase that leads up to the city above. And then there's just like a big gate that leads into the blind cat.
All right. I head on into the Blind Cat with Sophie on my shoulder.
Mm-hmm. We should be doing it this way, though.
Do I see Ripley in here?
Perfect. Yeah. Sure enough, you do spot Ripley. She is playing in here like she said she would be. She's got a spot over at this table by the fireplace. And she's playing a song on her lute, singing slightly. It's not a fantastic performance. It's hardly what you would call memorable, but it's fine.
All right, I'm gonna go find myself a spot at a table where there's room near me that someone can sit down.
Sure.
And this over there in the in chat, someone said he's so smart. I want to prove that statement completely wrong. So I was sitting there with my mouse over my token, trying to move it. Why won't it move? Trying to move it. I had my mouse on the picture of the stream.
So you're like trying to move it over on the Twitch
Why
stream?
won't this move? Oh, that's the video.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll sit there by the window, and I'm wearing a completely different outfit than I've worn.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going for like what maybe a dock worker sailor would wear to kind of keep the sun off their face. You know, a cloth wrapped around my head,
Right.
and the extra is kind of hanging down, slightly obscuring half my face here.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I'm just sitting there, listening and kind of, playing a little bit with Sophie, maybe dragging a little bit of cloth, letting Sophie bat at it.
Yeah. What's her name? Ripley finishes up a set after 45 minutes or whatever, and takes a walk around the room to stretch, talks with the barkeep for a few minutes, and then comes over to sit next to you with her back against the table, so she's looking out this window overlooking the ocean hundreds of feet below. Yeah.
I'll does she have a hat out or anything?
Yeah, there's a bowl that's she had in front of her while she was playing, and she's now brought next to her, and pretending to count the money in it.
All right, I'll toss a silver in there.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, sir. Did you enjoy the set?
I did. I consider myself a patron of music.
Wonderful. And how is your musical appreciation going these days?
That's going very well, very well. In fact, my plans for the evening is I'm going to listen to music and get very, very drunk. I think that'll be a great evening.
Well, I can't say I support inebriation, but I guess everyone has to let out steam in some way sometime.
Yes, I hope I don't get arrested for it.
That would be dangerous. I hear they toss you in the drunk tanks for that.
Yeah, I can't imagine they're very pleasant. Hope I don't end up in there. Well, hopefully I can talk my way out of staying in there for too long. Although, who knows, I'd probably end up back in there again before very long.
You think you might end up there more than once?
Yeah, I imagine, in the drunk tank, maybe a little time out, and then back in the drunk tank. You know how it goes. I'm incorrigible that way.
Yes.
But, a man should be productive, I imagine. while I'm out of the drunk tank, I can get to work and get my job done.
She gives you a furrowed look and goes, well, that could be dangerous.
True. But I'm told that if I were to do a little bit of work fishing, that these waters are not infested with sharks.
Mm-hmm.
And it is pretty. I like to do night fishing, which like the darkness, the solitude, just you out there can't even see your hand in front of your face in the darkness. It's peaceful. Makes me feel cozy and knowing that no one can see you.
Yes. I get that. Well, good luck. Hopefully you'll catch a fish quietly, and hopefully the fish won't struggle too much.
One hopes.
Well.
And Ev, is there anything else we should discuss?
She takes a quick glance around the bar and goes, you've only spent a day down here, it looks like. Are you sure you're ready?
Oh, I think I'm gonna, probably work my way up to a good drunk. I think there's a little bit more time that I'll spend just enjoying the night, the local nightlife before I get a really good drunk going on.
Okay. Well, good luck. I hope we won't have to send someone in after you, she says with daggers in her eyes.
She goes, I should hope that too.
Okay.
All right, I am going to head back down, and what I want to do as a last thing is find where do the guards go to drink?
They tend to stay away from the other common inns. They have their own little guard barracks, and that's where they hang out, and that's where they do their socializing among themselves and their own personal lubrications.
Okay. And you had...
Yeah, let me show you where that is.
Yeah, you had mentioned that.
Let's see, where are we here? They have their own room right here. It's right below the dungeons. I'm just gonna keep pinging it until you find it. Right below Portia's house.
All right. And so there's a dock right outside their place.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to go into the sea shanty. The seaside shanty.
Yep.
And talk to the barkeeper. I have a mind to fish. Do you have a pole that I could borrow for a couple coppers?
Yeah. He'll rent you a pole for a few copper coins.
All right. And there's no point fishing sober. Do you like your biggest mug that I could bring with me?
He will get you a very large stein with a lid on it, and give
These
you
are easy to drink from, I've heard.
Quite. You just gotta lift it above your face and gently dump it down like you're, a waiter at a restaurant salting someone's food or pouring wine impressively. Just be careful. Right. Where are you gonna go fishing?
There's docks everywhere.
Well, isn't that true?
I don't imagine the fish are that picky.
He nods, and
I'm going to go down and coincidentally start fishing on the docks right outside the guards' hangout place here.
Okay.
And I've got my stein. I have my pole. Fishing is nothing if not an excuse to sit in one place doing absolutely nothing.
Sure. So you're sitting there waiting down on the docks, and around lunchtime, you notice that Reginald Silver, that the cleric there, let's bring both of your tokens over here, makes his way over to a dock very near to you, actually. He comes over and sits down on the stool right here. And after chatting with somebody inside the building behind him, they bring him out like a nice cup of tea. And he takes a seat there and sips his tea, looking out over the open ocean during his lunch break. Which I guess is a self-appointed lunch break because he sets his own schedule. He's his own man. But he still takes time for lunch and tea because it's important to give yourself breaks every now and then.
Well, we're all our own men. It's just sometimes people like him try to convince us otherwise.
Yeah.
So, well, my goal, he's not my... I mean, I've anything interesting about him I do pay attention to, but my primary goal... Actually, you said he was talking?
He just spoke with the person at the... there's a tea shop built into here that is difficult to notice unless you're, spend a lot of time down here. So, yeah. Reginald has ordered tea from the Morning Glory tea shop.
Well, if he's just sitting over there, I'll call over to him. Oh, fine morning for a sit down.
Fine morning indeed. By the light and glory of Astaire, we can all sit and enjoy prosperity down here, inhaling the nice sea air.
So you're here to fish?
No. I'm here to keep order on the docks, to remove the scum from the surface wherever we can find it.
Yes, these docks do seem a hive of scum and villainy.
Yes, there's quite a few fishy things going on down here.
So you're a guard?
Reginald Silver is the name. I am a cleric of Astaire, and I should give you a description of him at this point. He is, he's in armor. Where's my full description of him? He is wearing armor. He's got a shield and a staff with like a glowing light on top of it. He's got a warhammer at his side. I think he's wearing half plate. I can't find his... Oh, his character sheet's over here.
Serious about drinking his tea.
Yeah, so he's got a warhammer, a quarterstaff. He's got a half plate, like a breastplate on with some chain on his limbs, a big shield. And sitting here, just sitting, drinking his tea, enjoying it. But that's apparently the way that he walks around on the docks while he keeps a watch on everything. He's balding on top. Yeah.
It's silver. You know, I once knew, well, actually an elven man and an elven woman that were last name Silver Tongue. Any relation?
I have no elven blood in me, although it is not an uncommon part of an elf's name. Of course, you know elves, they all have last names. I myself am, as you can tell, a member of the noble Silver family. We have lived here in High Castle for generation upon generation.
All right. I asked him about his family. I try to get. It seems like he wants to talk about his family, his history, his mission. My goal is just to keep him talking, and I sit there paying close attention to the timbre of his voice, to the flow of how he speaks. I'm studying his voice and his mannerisms.
Yeah. Let's see. What do we need to know about Reginald Silver?
Well, basically, when I'm doing all these things, it's for the actor feat,
Ah,
so that I
right.
can imitate their voice. I'm not actually like worrying too much about which finger he uses to pick his nose or whatever.
Right,
At
right.
the moment. So I'm just trying to learn how to imitate his voice.
Sure. You can pick up his voice. It's sort of deep and baritone.
All right. After I figure this is an opportunity. It might be useful later. So I shouldn't squander it. But I imagine after he's done, he's got his mission to go about, and I'll set about my main business here, which is to listen to the guards.
Hmm.
I am interested in studying their voices, matching up names with voices.
Okay. Yeah, you can listen to what are there? 4 guards in there. You can catch their names, and you can catch their voices that are talking back and forth. It looks like every so many hours the guards will rotate out, and the people that are in there will switch with the people who are patrolling the docks up and down, which will also switch with the person who's on like dungeon gate duty. So there's a nice rotation of them through. It appears there are 10 guards down on the docks total, not counting the captain of the dock guard, who walks in the room occasionally, and then will patrol the docks, and then we'll go up into the office, and then patrol the docks, and then come and ask some questions. You can get a feel for the various different people that are here. Make me an... I want some sort of check to see how well you can remember everyone's names and voices together. What would that be? An
Probably intelligence or...
Yeah, some intelligence substat. So either investigation or insight. Probably an investigation check to see how well you can recall the details.
Okay. That's not my forte.
There you go. 13 will do it. You get a good understanding. In the future, if you need to recall a specific person's name or mannerisms, I'll have you make another investigation check, and you'll have to meet or get lower than your 13 to recall those details. So while you're memorizing, you want to roll high, and then while you're trying to recall, you want to roll under what your memorization was.
All right. While I'm sitting there at the docks pretending to fish, hopefully all of my missions would be able to use fishing to case places. I will remember each name. I will have a couple of things about that I noticed about that person. And I'll think of something that seems kind of characteristic, some memorable phrase that the guard said.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll do that while I'm sitting there, sort of to myself, over and over with each of them to help me memorize it.
Mm-hmm.
Michael, has kids, hates Tim,
Right.
whatever, different things, the things that I noticed, and
Jenna's really sarcastic.
I'll kind of in my mind, say something in their voice, just to keep their voice in my mind, and I'll practice. And I can spend a long time doing that since I'm pretending to fish.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So hopefully that could give me advantage on if I have to imitate any of them later.
Yeah.
Okay. Time to, once I've done that for a while and I feel that I've got a number of them down here, I am going to go back to my room. Time to get dressed.
So you've spent quite a long time down here on the docks doing this,
Yes.
it seems. Sure. And you notice that Reginald has like a... You can't really count the hours since no one has watches and time is not kept that quickly, but he only spends about an hour-ish down here for his lunch break and then goes back to his patrolling duties after that.
After he walks off, I stare after him in all his heavy armor.
Yeah, you notice that he heads specifically to the east. I guess actually it's... No, it is east, considering the coastline. Yeah. He heads eastward towards this, that kind of old, worn-down, heavy-docked area over here. He heads over in that direction. And I think at some point you probably lose sight of him behind a building, and you're not specifically following him, so you don't know where he ends up, but he heads in that direction.
So that's very heavy armor. I hope he didn't fall in the water and drown. And I'll head back to my room. Time to get dressed to go drinking.
All right.
I am going to get clothes, an outfit entirely different than what I've been wearing. I will just to be less memorable. I'm going to, in particular, I'll try to look sort of like a sailor, maybe.
Okay.
I'll have big, heavy boots. In my boot, I'm going to conceal down, push as far as I can. In fact, I'll even put it down in the foot of the boot, and it's going to be annoying that I have to step on them. But a bit of flint and steel. My thieves' tools. In particular, the 5 lockpicks that I've chosen. In the other boot, I am going to take one of the candles that I bought, cut it so I've just got like an inch of candle, this mini candle here. I'll put that down in my boot.
Okay.
I will cut myself 2.5 feet of the silk rope.
2.5 feet of the silk rope?
Yes.
Is that going to be enough for you?
I'll cut 2 lengths of that.
2.5 lengths.
Yes, and
okay.
I will wrap those around my boots as if like sort of for decoration around the outside. I'll get them dirty, scuff them up a bit.
Okay.
And then I'm going to cut myself a, let's say a 10-foot length of the worn rope. I'll wrap that around my waist a bit as a makeshift belt to hold my pants up.
All right. So you got a makeshift belt of the thin hempen rope, which is how long did you say? 10 feet?
10 feet.
10 feet, and then 2.5 foot sections around your boots of the nice silk rope.
Although I get them dirty, so they're not
right
as ridiculously nice.
Okay.
And I will conceal a regular knife down in my boot as well.
Okay. You've got... And then it's just regular clothes on top of that, right?
Yeah, sort of dressed as a sailor. It's the type of clothing where I would be using a rope as a belt.
Okay, perfect. You look the part, more or less, and it is late afternoon because you spent all day listening to those guards prattle on about this, that, and the other thing. And I think, what is the plan from here?
Time to start drinking.
Where do you go to do your drinking? You doing it here?
Yeah, I'm going to start here. I'm going to do a lot of like buying people drinks, drink with people, all to conceal that I'm not actually really drinking much.
Ah, so you're like buying a lot of drinks, but then handing them to others so that everyone keeps seeing you pick up beers and whatnot, and you're maybe sipping.
Yeah, and I'm still nursing my same beer. And,
Right.
Plus with a good Stein,
Mm-hmm.
and you'd never know it was empty.
Yep.
Advantages of a Stein. So I act increasingly drunk. I'll start to get a bit more belligerent as the evening goes on, getting in some arguments with people.
Yeah, and I think the tavern, especially in the evenings down over here, gets a little raucous. There's spontaneous groups busting out into songs of various types, and it's a rowdy bar at this hour, and no one's paying much attention to anyone as the crowded bar just gets more and more messy as the evening goes on, which appears to be a regular affair in this part of the world, or in this part of the town.
All right. I'll try to make a buddy with somebody.
Sure.
Buy them a few drinks, and after a while, once it gets dark, I'll say, you know what? I hear they've got better drinks down at that other place. They're like a little fancy.
The Mermaids Kiss? Look.
Yeah.
The problem with the Mermaids Kiss is that they've got so many good things down there that you end up broke every time you head over. The only way to keep yourself in any form of coin is to stay away from that place. You know?
Yeah, but, what's the point of coin if you don't spend it? Maybe, a couple of guys like us, maybe we can end up kissing a mermaid for free.
There ain't nothing for free in this life, buddy.
I can get one of them, and I'll get a friend for you.
30 copper says you get thrown out on your ass before you get within 2 feet of a mermaid.
That's a bet. And I go, it's on, let's go, and you're going to see the master at work.
All right, it is late. I think it is... Maybe it's almost a full moon, so you guys... No. It's a new moon? Did we already say it was a new moon today?
We didn't say what it was.
Is that a different campaign? I can't... I think last week it was just after a new moon. And so, last session, that was about a week ago in game time. So it should be about a half moon right now.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just get something from my room, and then we'll go down there. I go up to my room. I take out the pouch. I'm going to remove 1 coin from it. Look it over. I'll tuck that into my boot and put the rest of the pouch under my bed with my rapier and my bow. And then I'll go back down to join my new friend here.
All right. You join your new friend down on the docks, down in the tavern. Make your way to the Mermaid's Kiss.
Except as we get in front of that guard station there.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. Where's my money pouch?
What? Come on. You can't make a bet and then welch on the money. How are you supposed to get us drinks if you don't even have
my money pouch? When you bumped into me before, did you take it?
What are you talking about?
You're a dirty thief.
I'm not a thief. What the fuck are you talking? Look, let's just do the thing. I thought we were.
I can't believe you're trying to. And
the guard very quickly
the guard starts to step out. I take a swing at this guy.
Give me a roll to hit.
Well, I don't care about hitting. I actually feel like missing him. I'm gonna stumble, and in fact, the momentum of the punch is gonna lead me stumbling into the wall.
You stumble around. The guard comes over and immediately tries to break your stuff up, saying, "Hey, knock it off! Don't make me throw you inside."
Don't you tell me what to do.
Excuse me?
I said, don't you tell me what to do.
You lower your voice right now, or you're going to be spending the rest of your night inside a mountain.
I'm gonna talk as loud as I want. Nobody tells me what to do.
The guard takes a spear and goes to whap you in the belly with it. If you're not dodging, actually, even if you are dodging, he still hits you right in the stomach with it, doing 1 point of temporary damage. The other guy quickly backs away and goes, "Hey, I got no problem. He's just a crazy man." And kind of walks away. The guard looks at you as you're doubled over and says, "You learned your lesson yet?"
Is learn my lesson? You can't teach me nothing.
He takes the spear and whirls it around and brings it down over your back with another 13 to hit. Kind of laying you flat out on your belly and says, "All right, now you sober up and head home, otherwise I'm going to have to throw you in the jail."
I'd like to see you try.
He leans his spear against...
putting my fists, and I kind of stumble to one side.
He takes his spear and kind of like pins it against your cloak and drives it down in between some of the cobblestones, so it's like sticks between your cloak and goes into the ground a little bit, and jogs into the Harbormaster's office, and comes out 6 seconds later with a key, takes a spear out of your cloak and grabs you by the collar and just physically starts dragging you into the dungeon, saying, "I warned you! I warned you! You're spending the rest of the night in the drunk tank."
Come and see the violence inherent in the system! Come and see the violence inherent in the system!
Shut up! He gives you a kick.
I'm being oppressed!
Shut up! And gives you another kick. He will drag you into the dungeons. You are here. And I'll give you... He'll pull a lantern off the wall, or a torch off the wall. I'm not going to bother including his token on this.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can see he'll bring you in and take you in this way, turn you to the side, march you down to this holding cell right here. And as he gets to this cell, it kind of pushes you roughly up against the cage, the bars with one hand, leans a spear against the wall, and reaches over to a spot on the wall right next to you, pulls off another key to open up the cell door, tosses you inside, locks the door, returns the key, and takes off. And you can hear his feet kind of patter off into the distance. Pop.
I said, I only let you throw me in here because this is where I wanted to go.
Yeah. Tell it to the judge, he says, kind of not even really listening to what you're saying. As you find yourself in a jail cell, right. Rather alone. I've given you just enough of a light radius that you could like feel what's around you. If you zoom in closely enough, you can kind of make out the details adjacent to you.
All right.
And I think that's where we're going to leave it for now. We're going to go to a break. We're going to come back with a fourth part. And we'll see what we can do in part 4. So,
and the violence inherent in the system. Let's not leave that out.
Look, you had it coming, all right? Yeah, you had it coming. We'll see you guys on the other side of the break. Bye-bye, everyone. That's not how I go to break. Yes. Hold on. How do I go to break? This is it. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Assassin. Here you are, in the dark, in the night.
Oh no, I've been thrown in the drunk tank.
Thrown in jail. What a failure of an assassin you are.
Well, this certainly throws a wrench in my plans. Anybody else in this?
Why, yes, indeed. There is one person in here. You feel their feet before you find them, really. You kind of bump into it, and as you kick their feet, they groan and...
I don't want to wake this person up.
I think you're like looking around and you bump into someone because it's so dark you can't see, right? So you accidentally kick their feet, and they sort of kind of roll over and grumble and fall back asleep right away.
All right. Any other people in here?
Nope. Just one unidentified drunk.
All right. I am going to time to start preparing myself. I'm going to start taking things out of my boot. First, I'm going to put the knife where it's easily reachable, tucked into my rope belt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get my 5 lockpicks into my hands. Feel the nubs on them. Arrange them from 1 through 5 so I can keep track of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to try each one on this door.
Sure.
I'll get a sense of which lock this is.
Let's see. No, that was the one thing I forgot to put on our house rules, was about lock picking.
You're going to introduce a new lock picking system after I just got myself thrown in here.
It was something that I thought we had already established, and I was just going to bring up again. In this situation, this is actually the perfect situation to get into it because you actually have a lot of time. So in 5e D&D, you can make a check to pick a lock in a single combat round, which is 6 seconds long, which we're sticking with. You can make one attempt to pick a lock right away. If that attempt fails, you can try again, but subsequent attempts need a little bit more time. It means you can't quite get it right away. You need to sit down and really be careful with it. So you can continue making lock picking attempts pretty much as long as you want, but after the first 6-second one, each attempt takes 10 minutes. So you can sit. So in theory, if you can roll high enough, you can pick any lock given a sufficient amount of time, right?
Okay.
And that's the one change that I wanted to introduce. I thought I had it on our document, but somehow it didn't make it up there. I'll adjust the document shortly. So there you go.
That works for me. Time to start working on this lock.
All right. Give me your lock picking attempt. 12. That is exactly the DC of this lock. Yes. It takes you just a few seconds to get those locks in there, the picks in there. It is the number 3 pick for this cell door.
All right. So the drunk tank is pick 3.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little insulted they think so little of the drunks.
Yeah. Give me a perception check as long as you're in here. Nope, never mind.
Nope.
All right.
Well, I figure light will be the first clue that there's a guard down here.
Mm-hmm. So here you are. You've made your way through the cell doors.
All right. I am going to move forward with my hand out to try to find the wall.
Sure enough, there's a wall there. 10 feet from the cell door.
All right.
Do you have your other map all figured out? Do you need to rotate back and forth between them, or...
If I remember, the path to the interrogation was just right up close to the drunk tank.
Sure. You find yourself going past a bench. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm taking my time. I don't want to like bang my shin and
Yeah.
start cursing.
Give me a stealth check at advantage while you're sneaking through these dungeons. Advantage because you've got time and there's no light. 24 is nice. Okay.
All right. Is there a wall there? I guess so. I can't move to that space.
It's dark. It's hard to find your way around.
I should be running up against the cells here, if I remember.
Yep, that is a wall that you're bumping into, that you've clipped into somehow.
I'm that good.
Master Assassin, no clip mode engaged.
All right, well, that's how we do it. So this is a cell, correct?
Yeah, if you move up a little bit, you'll see that there is a cell door, or maybe you'll feel there's a cell door there. Yeah.
All right. I think it's time, because I need to make sure I get the right cell. I think it's time to light my candle. I'm going to keep it hooded as well as I can, so it's not throwing out so much light. I heard any guards.
Nope.
I'm going to do one more check before I light the candle, just to really listen for any guards or any sounds down here.
Sure.
Not great.
You don't hear any guards. Once the gates closed, the sounds of the outside and the docks kind of disappeared, but now that you're listening, you can hear the sound of water washing around somewhere. It sounds like tides rolling in and out against rocks, and it's kind of echoing very, very faintly throughout the dungeon.
Interesting. I don't remember anything marked on the map that would indicate a connection there. All right. Well, I'm going to light my candle. I want to be able to look in these cells. Hopefully, if people are asleep, they're not going to notice a candle. But I need to locate Durbin.
Okay. So you light your candle and get just a little bit more light. It's still pretty dim here, though. You can move all the way up to the cell door if you would like to peer inside.
I would like. Can I see a person in the cell?
No, you cannot. You're actually having a hard time seeing the very back of the cell, but from what you can see, there's no people in here.
All right. Well, if I can't find anybody, I'll go back and search the cells more thoroughly. I go up, looking for the next cell.
All right.
Like it's right here. That's all I get with a candle?
Yeah, candlelight is surprisingly kind of crappy, or unsurprisingly not super good. I've got it at a 10-foot radius right now. I don't know if a real-life candle would even give you a 10-foot radius.
All right. Well, I'm trying
maybe
to think
in pitch black it would, since there's absolutely no, maybe.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of when the power goes out here and we have to break out candles.
God, it's been so long since the power's gone out.
It's probably dim light out until 10.
Yeah.
Seems like it'll dimly light a bedroom.
Sure.
All right. Can I see anything within the cell?
You see a bed of straw on the top left corner of the cell, but it looks just like an empty pallet. No one there.
All right. Next room.
This is also an empty bed of straw.
Where do they keep their smugglers?
Here we go. Wait. There is a person in this one, which for some reason wasn't on the right layer. She is kind of tucked right up against the corner of the wall, and as your light shines in, she rolls over, kind of away from the light to shield her eyes and put her face in the corner.
All right. I'll say I'll imitate the voice of one of the guards. Say, Durbin.
No response.
All right. I say a little grumble again in the guard's voice and go on.
And in the middle of this cell is a gentleman, a guy. He's sitting down, hanging his head low. You notice there's no straw beds anywhere in his cell at all.
All right. He's he's awake.
Mm-hmm. No, he looks like he's sitting and sleeping, hunched over.
All right. I look at him. I look at where he's sitting in relation to the walls. I look at how many steps it is between him and each wall.
Oh, he's in the middle of the room. It's about 5 feet from him to every wall.
All right. I will put out the candle.
Okay. I'll get rid of your lighting.
I will quietly open the door.
It is locked.
Yeah. Well, by open it, I mean pick it.
Of course.
Hopefully.
Give me your thieves' tools at advantage. A 15 is not going to cut it. You try around for 6 seconds and realize that this is going to be a tough one. It's going to take you a while to get this.
All right. I'm going to put in the time for it then.
All right. You can make another attempt after 10 minutes.
All right. I'm staying very quiet.
22 will do it. Just around the time... Actually, give me a D10 for how long into those 10 minutes it takes you. Just a flat D10. Oh, never mind. You pick the lock fairly quickly, and the door gives a little bit of a clicky, latchy sound. This would be key number 2, and is easily openable.
All right. I go in. I close the door almost all the way, but not enough that it clicks.
Mm-hmm.
I move my way around the edge of the walls till I get behind how he was.
Sure. He rolls a natural 1 on his perception check as you're sneaking into a cell. He is out cold.
All right. I unwrap one of the 3 feet lengths of silk rope.
Mm-hmm.
I get behind him, since it's kind of convenient that he's sitting there with his head like that. I will very carefully position the rope. I will, before I start pulling any tension on it, carefully wrap it around his throat. And then pull as tight as I can.
There's a bit of a struggle as his hands come up and immediately start grasping at the rope. His feet start flailing. Give me an opposed strength check on our would-be murdered person.
All right. It's just a flat D20. That's all I got here. There's no advantages or anything, or I can't.
Oh, definitely you get advantage for behind him and choking in the everything. Yeah.
Do I get? And that's why I was wondering before if I would get to use the thief sneak attack.
It's not so much a damage, just a struggle. So he'll get a flat D20 as well. He rolls a 3, beat a 3 with advantage on a flat D20. Oh my god.
Let's see the second one.
Oh my goodness.
That was almost a disaster.
Yeah, he gets his fingers up to the rope, gets it underneath for a moment, and gets like a good kick with his feet, running his head into your gut. But it's not enough to make you lose your grip. And his flailing quickly becomes tired and haphazard as the blood supply to his brain is cut off.
All right. After he goes still, spend another 2 minutes keeping it tight. I'll put my face, now that he's still, I'll put my face next to his with my ear next to his nose so that I can listen for breathing.
It gets slower. I mean, it's having a hard time getting any breath at all, actually, because the choking is so effective. And eventually it comes to a full stop, and a few minutes later, after the body's been limp for a while and there's been no breath for a while, you're satisfied that he is dead.
All right. Actually, does he have a belt?
Yeah, he's got a thin belt.
All right. Once I'm satisfied that he's dead, I'm going to take his belt off.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to tie it around his throat and pull it as absolutely tight as I can.
Okay. That is done.
All right. And covering up, doing it so that it covers up the
other.
Yeah, there's going to be abrasion and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And or so at least hopefully people will imagine it's from that. I will now move back along the walls. Apparently I still have the assassin's clipping ability. I will close the cell door.
So hold on, before you exit, I want to be clear on this. You've tied his belt around his neck and made it nice and tight, and then just left him in the middle of the room with it?
Yes. I figure his belt is better than trying to hang him with a rope where they might go, where to get the rope?
Mm-hmm.
Where hopefully they'll go, oh, he decided to kill himself and strangled himself with his own belt. Darn. We should have thought to take away things the prisoner could use to kill himself.
Okay.
We'll have to erase the surveillance tapes now.
All right, you've made it back out of the prison cell.
Okay, carefully relock the door.
Mm-hmm. Can be done.
All right, and I'll make my way back to the drunk cell.
Sure. You start making your way southward when you hear the main gate open and the sounds of the ocean and the outside kind of splash in fully more, and an officer's voice saying, "Come on, buddy. That's one too many for you."
Okay. I'm going to... so he should not be able to see into this area. I'm gonna go down to where that first cell was and then duck into the recessed doorway.
Okay.
Was that the first one? Or I guess there was a lot.
Yeah, a little bit of light starts spilling in from this area over here, just kind of illuminating the back of the walls for a moment. There are footsteps. The guard walks. You can hear him picking up a key and opening a gate, which squeaks open, and someone getting shoved in with an oof. "Come on, buddy, I'm not that drunk. It was just a little urine. It wasn't that big of a deal." And the gate slamming shut again, and a key being replaced.
All right. I'm crouched down in a corner of this entryway. I've pulled my cloak around me to just be an amorphous black blob, I'm trying to anticipate if he were to come in here checking and he had a candle where shadows would be cast and try to be in those. And I'll wait to make sure that the officer is completely gone.
You hear footsteps ringing out on the stone, and then you hear the gate opening and closing, and the sounds of the outside go quiet again, and it's just that faint running sound of waves splashing against rocks that echoes through.
And it's all pitch black again.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Back out. Make my way. Can we just assume I make my way back to the drunk tank?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm gonna go to the. We got thrown in the second drunk tank, right?
I don't know.
There were two, correct?
There were.
There was presumably light when the guard brought me in.
Yep.
Did he take me into the first or second one?
I showed you which one you were placed in by putting light around your character as you were put there. And if you can't remember, I think that is an interesting moment here where you're not sure which cell you left.
All right, I will go to. Well, I mean, I can go back and forth along this wall and find the doors. The drunk tanks were right next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Do I find the two doors?
You do find the two doors.
Is one, do I hear noises or any settling in one or a drunk guy in?
Yeah, you hear a drunk guy sort of singing to himself. He doesn't have any music, but he's kind of singing a drunken sailor song.
Okay.
But it's more of like mumbled to himself, you know?
How quietly could I do the door or unlock the door?
Yeah, the doors aren't particularly well maintained. They're a bit squeaky, but if you're slow enough and careful enough, I'll give you a stealth check to open a door silently.
All right.
Are you opening that door? One that you're adjacent to?
I'm gonna try to open the door that is not the one that I got thrown into. Well, that is not the one where the drunk guy is.
Okay.
This guy.
So the cell that you're next to is not the one with the guy singing to himself.
All right, I'm gonna try to open.
Yeah, his voice is coming from further down the hallway. This one you find is, I think, slightly ajar and not fully closed even.
I closed the door behind myself.
Never mind, it's locked.
All right.
That was the other door that you left slightly ajar. The other time. Yeah, you can easily pick the lock and slip on back in. Oh my god, natural 20 on the stealth. No one is any wiser.
All right.
You make your way in.
I replace all my gear, but give myself, wrap the rope back around my boots and everything. And it's time to sleep off my drunk.
Yep. All right. The next morning, the guards come through. They open the cells. They take you guys out, throw you out into the docks, and say, "Let that be a lesson to you. I don't want to see your faces around here no more."
All right. I act sullen and don't cause any attention to myself at all.
All right.
Time to go head back to the sea shanty.
You get back there. The innkeep looks at you and goes, I should have known. At least you didn't break anything here.
Yeah. Sometimes it gets the better of me.
Wow. Just keep your demons at bay as best you can.
Yeah. I said, well, it was good, but I think it's time for me to get moving on here.
You guys can settle up your tab.
Okay.
I
And
think
then
you owe him for 3 nights, so that's going to be 180 copper.
that's
Plus drinks and everything. And you spent quite a lot drinking the other night, so let's round it to 250 copper for all expenses in the last week down here.
all right. I am gonna grab my gear.
Mhm.
I'm gonna grab Sophie. I hope you didn't mind being by yourself, Sophie. Although I guess it gave you the run of the place.
Just hungry.
All right. I'm gonna go down to the docks here, where I met the kids. Do I find them down here again?
Yep. It's I mean, what else are little what do you call them, wharf rats gonna do all day?
So do you have a fish for me? I asked the kid.
He proudly presents to you his latest fish. It's about yay big. It's kind of smallish, but more than enough for a cat.
See, that is a beautiful one. I think that's a 3 copper fish.
Mm-hmm.
I give him his 3 coppers.
He'll take the 3 coppers, very excited.
I'm going to go down and sit on the end of the dock and let Sophie eat her fish. And then I will take that copper, the single copper that I put into my boot last night. I'll take that out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll turn it over in my fingers a few times. I'll sit on the dock while Sophie eats her fish. And I say, farewell, Samantha. And I'll just toss it out into the canal.
Flops into the canal and drips below, disappearing into the darkened waters.
All right. I'll give Sophie a little more time to eat. And we'll go, well, Sophie, I thank you for your work here. I couldn't have asked for a better partner.
Wow.
Time to head back up to the Blind Cat.
Wow. Wow.
Okay.
You make your way back up to the Blind Cat and find Ripley up there, hanging out. She's playing some songs, sees you coming, plays for another hour or so while you wait around in the Blind Cat, and then makes her way over to you at a convenient breaking point.
All right. Same thing as before. I'm just sitting there, relaxing, playing with Sophie as I listen to the music. So
Yeah.
she's down next to me.
She'll come over and kind of scritch Sophie on the head and pretend that she's playing with the cat and says, "Oh, is this yours? What a lovely little kitten. Kitty?"
Yes, she's my traveling companion. And I'll put a silver into her bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear the news?
No.
Not everybody knows this, but there was a suicide in the cells.
The jail cells. Oh, how sad.
Yes, he strangled himself with his own belt.
What a shame.
They should really search people before they throw them down there. Who knows what things they carry in with them?
Yeah. And he gives you a bit of a concerned look. Are you sure it was made to look right?
He was locked in a cell, strangled with his own belt.
Hmm.
What else could it have been? No one was seen going in and out. Just the drunks. They were tossed in the drunk tank, and they were exactly where they'd been left.
Choking oneself to death is a pretty difficult thing. Did you hang him from something?
There wasn't really anything way to hang him with his own belt. He tightened it very tight around his neck. Apparently, he was afraid of what might happen in interrogation. Guards are not known to be gentle. Maybe he was afraid of the wrath of the Thieves Guild if he revealed his Thieves Guild masters.
Never heard of any Thieves Guild before, but that sounds plausible, I suppose. Well, let's hope...
Who else could have done it? No one else was seen going in and out with the...
Good. Let's hope it all pans out like you said it will. And hopefully that will... If it does, that'll give us enough time to get our second target down before the Paladin arrives. Are you ready for your second target? Third target, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Reginald Silver, the cleric down by the docks. He's been quite a nuisance. We've had to suspend any import-exports while he's been down there. We need him to disappear quietly without drawing any attention. Sure, if you've only been there for a few days, so maybe you haven't seen him yet, but he's heavily armed and armored. And
I've met him, had shared lunch with him. I myself was thinking as he had his lunch at the docks how dangerous it could be for such a heavily armored man to have misstep into the water, but who knows if that would happen.
Perhaps. We'll need him gone. Quietly, of course. If it looks like murder, they'll only draw more attention and all of our importing will be shut down. If it can be done quietly, then we should be able to open up imports once more and be able to equip you with the toxins you need for your future missions. There are very important things coming ahead. We're definitely going to need access to poisons for some of them.
I shall endeavor to clear the way for this future work then.
Okay. Anything I should know? Any mistakes? Anything that needs to be cleaned up?
I can't think of anything at all. As I said, I was out for a night of drinking, indulged a little too much, ended up in the drunk tank.
Perfect.
Spent the night there, and they let me shamefacedly out in the morning.
Perfect. How fortunate for us that there are people like you with such deeply rooted motivations to see changes happen in the world. Sarah Wilkins had Your predecessor was perhaps more involved in this sort of work than you were your first time through, but her motivations were maybe a little bit more financial and less deeply rooted. I think that's why she hesitated when she did and made the mistakes that she did. It's good to have invested people within the Architects.
Yes, my motives are far more personal. Money is ephemeral.
I'm glad you see it the way that we do. Well, and we will deal with the rest of your introduction to your murder and your next assassination next week. Speaking of next week, Rob, next week is 4th of July. Are you doing anything in the morning, or are we still on for 4th of July morning?
So far as I'm aware, I think the murder of a pillar of the community is a perfect way to celebrate the birth of our nation.
Fantastic. We will be back next week with more assassinations and more murders. But if you would like to catch more of our antics and shenanigans, you can find me on twitch.tv/Koibu 5 to 6 days a week. I run a bunch of other D&D campaigns there. You'll find us Saturday, we've got a shenanigans episode at noon Pacific. Sunday, we have Frozen Frontier at 10 a.m. Pacific. Rob, are you going to be joining us for shenanigans this weekend, or are you still essay writing for school?
I don't know. I'm still have so many papers and everything. It's my final semester, and I thought they would be. I was hoping they would be going easier on us. It doesn't seem to have happened.
Unfortunate. Well, sometimes you can catch Rob on shenanigans where we play less murderous and more silly antics.
Is it less murderous?
It's not less killy, but it's less murderous. To put a little bit of separation between murder and killing, you know?
I kind of remember a puppy murder.
We don't talk about that episode.
Oh, sorry.
We also don't talk
That
about...
never happened.
All right, it's 75% less murderous, and 25% of the time it's 300% more murderous. It's shenanigans. Anyway, that's enough of our stuff. We will see you all next week. Rob, any final words?
No, thank you guys all for tuning in. Hope you're enjoying it here. And see you on the 4th of July, where we celebrate our nation with how it started. Mayhem and killing and...
All good stories start with mayhem and killing, right?
Yeah.
Excellent.
And defying the authorities.
Yeah. It's classic American tradition. We will see you guys next week. Goodbye, everybody.